it was a good time and a good reason to reach out to do a preview, and we will. In hour number 2, opportunity to be joined by Joe Freeman in an interview I did just moments ago. He is a columnist and lead sports writer for the Oregonian for over 20 years, and he has covered this team and really all of Oregon sports, professional and college. And it was nice to have him on to let's find out a little bit about that Oregon State team. That's a proud program, obviously. I think this is going to be it's a doable thing, but it's going to be a tough task. Look, it's a truncated series, best 2 out of 3, who knows? But Oregon State, a program, what's maddening, Tom? It's, they've been out there they've been to the College World Series 7 times. They have 3 national championships. It's a kick in the boys.
I knew they had won at least one, but 3 out of 7 is quite the ratio.
Yeah, when they go, they don't fool around. Well, I remember back in the day, they went back-to-back, 06, 07. And then they won again in 2018. They had a dude, a coach, a legendary coach, Pat Casey, who was there for 25 years. And he was a no-nonsense guy, and he's still alive. And he was partly responsible for bringing in their current coach, Mitch Canham. And Canham is an impressive guy to listen to talk. He's a former catcher that played there. He played and then coached in the minor leagues, a bunch of different stops before getting his opportunity to be the head man at his alma mater.
If we had the same hit rate of trips to Omaha to national championships as Oregon State had,
oh God almighty, what would we have, 9?
10 national championships.
10, yeah, it would be nice.
Damn.
That's a hell of a hit rate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why it's such a frustrating set of circumstances, is that statistically speaking, it ought not be. Florida State has been to more super regionals than any other program, has been out to Omaha more than any other program without a win. It's, and it's weird too, because they've had, for those of you not watching, it's on the YouTube feed, Charles Lee, the head coach of the Charlotte Hornets, with the look that he had on his face the night of the lottery, and that they did not win the first pick in the draft. In fact, they didn't come close.
We could really Photoshop him into Section B, or the Florida State section in Omaha. That's probably better. Rosenblatt, the old Rosenblatt.
It should just be a picture. All those picture seats are just him. Here we go.
Whatever, whether in that particular game we were the third base dugout or first base dugout in Omaha, it's just 400 of him sitting there. Okay.
All right. It's happened again.
Glad we got here.
So you don't remember this, but many moons ago in the 90s, we went out there. Well, we went out there all the time, but we went out there, and there's a play. I can't remember. I mean, if any of the former players are listening to me right now, and some of them do, you guys can text me if you have my number or write it in. But there was a year we were out there at Rosenblatt, Tom, and it's a wild pitch and for the opposing team. And we're gonna come home to score, and it hit a brick behind home plate the way it was at the old Rosenblatt, and went right back to the catcher glove side for him to tag. And it was so emblematic. It was the most perfect representation of what happens to us out there. Just like somebody falling down, rounding third one year, and it's just a wild pitch, hits the brick, guy turns knowing he's gonna have to hop up and run to get it. It comes right back to him. He turned, and we're out by a mile. I'm like, well, that happened. So, the exact angle that would have had to hit in order for it to, trajectory-wise, come back to the glove at just that moment. 1 in a billion? I mean, what is, unreal.
And what is it about us and balls hitting bricks, What is it about Florida State with balls landing on bricks? We don't like that.
Chipping bricks. A universal slogan now for any of our failures.
Maybe the Battle's End made up for it by breaking the bricks and sending them to selling them for a good cause to the fans.
Battlesend.com if you'd like your brick now.
That's right.
We should buy more bricks on the regular.
Exorcise the brick demons.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, James B., to answer your question, that interview will be played in hour number 2 of the show today. It's fresh. I mean, I came from doing the interview straight into the studio right here, right now. It's their 3-hour time difference, so we needed to do that when we did it. But this is, it was done today, just moments before I came in here and raced into the studio after conducting the interview. And it's good. You're going to like it. You'll learn a lot. I mean, and the whole purpose of this is to shine a light on that program, Oregon State, the team we're going to face, and who it is that, we have to be worried about. And, every one of these guys is mentioned. I think if you just look statistically, it would be obvious to you that a guy like Trent Caraway is on fire. He had 5 home runs in their regional. 5. That's ridiculous to hit 5 home runs in a regional. He did. He hasn't been a star. He just happened to get hot at the right time. Gavin Turley, their center fielder, is the unquestioned captain and star, if you will, like the impetus for what they do. And we get a preview of that a little bit too. And they have some other guys. So obviously their shortstop is a first-round draft pick to be a good player, catcher, a lot of different guys that kind of fuel this team. But and I don't want to spoil the interview, you'll learn a lot about how they arrived at where they are and why some of the numbers look the way they do and how challenging it was for them to put together a schedule after the downfall of the Pac-12. Interesting.
So I did something yesterday, and it doesn't jinx a thing because I did it last year. I did look at flights and hotels in a certain town in Middle America.
Oh, Omaha,
for next weekend.
Got it, yeah.
And I found some good deals.
In Omaha?
I found some good numbers. Yeah. Yep.
Well, let's hope we go.
Would be nice. It would be nice. Never been. I know it's not the same as Rosenblatt, but you know what? We're starting to get more acquainted with it. And we're starting to expect to be there more often rather than when we get there, it's a nice Cinderella story. And well, we'll see how far we go. We don't have what it takes. I'm just happy we're here. We're starting to go there with a purpose, with a pep in our step and with a mission. And it would be nice to maybe, just maybe, book those things that I saw.
Many moons ago when we went out there and lost, which was the last time I was there. I know we were there last year at TD Ameritrade, but is it still TD Ameritrade now? I mean, these corporate sponsors change every year for baseball. I think it's TD Ameritrade. I don't know.
Horsehead Baloney Field.
Yeah, who knows, right? But they were building that place when the last time I went out there. They were building it and drove past it. It was almost completed. It's very corporate, very sterile, not what Rosenblatt was. Now, Rosenblatt for many years, partly because of the bats, partly because of the level of play, was sort of a bandbox. I mean, it shouldn't have been, but it was the way it was set up and the way the wind blew, and then the dearth of great quality pitching, and then the bats being just ridiculous. You'd go out there and see 18-13. You'd see that, and it wouldn't shock anybody. It now plays more like a game should play. I mean, you have to earn it. And it's much more professional. The whole sport of college baseball, in a good way. We talk about college sports right now and all the negatives surrounding the sports world in college because of how more professionalized, for lack of a better term, they've become. But in college baseball, that's a good thing because it means the quality of play is better, the quality of pitching is better. The bats, a number of years ago, were dialed back to more resemble wood bats. They're not quite, but they're closer. And, you don't have a lot of these games anymore that are 20-16 and 19-17 and 15-14. And just really, I always thought kind of made a mockery. It made me look at the sport of baseball very differently. I would watch Major League Baseball, and it was this other thing. And then it was college baseball, which you just had to know going in was something completely different from what you would see in a Major League Baseball game. Everything from the way the players behaved to some of the nuances and the codes and all of that, and also the scores and the quality of play or the lack thereof. But that's not true anymore. Now the play in college, and one of the ways that you're noticing it is how quickly the top draft picks coming out of college. I tease Corey about this. His hero, Caglione, from the University of Florida, is already up. And obviously Paul Skeens came up from the Pirates like that. And there are a number of other players that have been drafted in the last year or two already up for their respective teams, offensively and defensively, pitching-wise. You're seeing that. Well, why? Because it's no longer this massive chasm or dearth between the best players in the minor leagues and or professional baseball and the best players in college. It used to be. Now, if you're an elite player at a big-time conference in college baseball, you're much closer to what it looked like to be a double-A player, a really good double-A player, than it used to be. So year one, you might breeze from single A into double A by the end of your year. If you begin double A the next year and you're still a plus player and you're dominating your level, you might get called up right then and there. By the time the calendar rolls to June so that they can manipulate service time, so 25, 35 games, you might get called up if you're good enough. That never used to be the case. I mean, outside of a phenom, outside of somebody who was a complete outlier,
outside
you
of
never saw
somebody who was totally rich and didn't need to go through the MLB farm system and wanted to go to college just because. But now the financial incentive is, well, if I'm going to be a late round draft pick, why don't I go make more money in college for a couple of years?
Yeah.
And then I'll go play up and I'll be ready to go for, the bigs in a year or two. But it's just, as somebody who watched a lot of Florida State baseball as a kid on Sunshine Network, obviously went to a bunch of games 20 years ago when I was here on campus as a student. I love the game now more than I ever have because it does resemble the professional game that I hold very dear. Major League Baseball is sacred to me, and thankfully they fixed that game in the last 5 years to be more watchable.
Record ratings to prove it.
Now, I don't know that I love the contraction of minor league towns and ball clubs and the draft shrinking, but it is to the benefit of everybody who loves college baseball. This game resembles professional baseball more than ever on the diamond. Without
question. And there is a kid, as I just said, their shortstop, Ava, can't remember his last name. He's going to be a top 10 pick. And we obviously will roll out one of our own top 10 picks in Jamie Arnold.
Well, I just remember a couple of years ago, watching, I forget, it might have been like a Sunday series beginning of the year against the Northern team. And it was a Sunday, right? So game 3 in a series. And our guy's throwing 93 to 95, and their guy is throwing 93 to 95. And wow, everybody's got stuff now. And Oregon State does have a bunch of dudes who, if they don't have the experience, they certainly have the RPMs. They have the total break on their breaking balls. They have 94 to 96. This should be, in terms of if you were just a college baseball fan who was tuning in to watch 8 super regional rounds, this is one of your top billers. It might not be the top bill. Arkansas, Tennessee may be that one for you, or Coastal versus Auburn, but this is not far from the headliner, if it's not the headliner of the matchups.
One of the reasons for that, Tom, is that is a top 6 RPI club that Florida State is facing in Oregon State. And that's the byproduct of an aggressive bit of scheduling because of the makeshift nature of that league. We get into that in the interview, but this is a team that is tested, is my point. They don't seem like a group that's going to shrink. Obviously, they lost the first game of their regional. So, I mean, you come out and lose the first game of the regional against St. Mary's, you're in trouble. I mean, it's not the second game of the regional. You lost the first game. You go instantly into the loser's bracket, and you're up against it. Here we go now. And you got to win 4 games in 4 days or whatever it is. It's 4 games.
About 48 hours.
Yeah. You got to win a lot of games in a hurry. And they did. And in the process, they bludgeoned people. They outscored their opponents during that stretch 52-6. My point would be you're running into a team that's playing their best brand of baseball this year. The last few games of the regular season into the postseason, they have the hiccup to start, but then they just wipe the table with the rest of those teams and fight their way out of it. Goss Stadium is one of the better ones in baseball. It's a good fan base because they have tradition. They've produced a ton of professional baseball players. As I alluded to at the outset, they've won 3 national titles. We don't think about them a lot. This coach, since taking over, excluding the COVID year where I think they only played 15 games that year. So you remove that year, he's been to 3 super regionals in 5 years. I mean, this is what they do. They play in these moments. They're eager he's eager, obviously, to get back out to Omaha. He has, as a player, he's won a national title. But as a coach, he has not been back out there, and they've been dangerously close 3 times in 5 years to get into a super regional. So it's going to be a tough atmosphere. But, Florida State's accustomed to that. They play a lot of road games against a lot of really good teams and great baseball atmospheres, and they've got one right here in their own backyard. So this is a heavyweight fight.
Oh, a lot of draft picks. A lot of draft picks on the field going head-to-head. And some guys who are white hot, not just red hot. They've got a guy who hit 5 home runs in the regional, but we've got a guy who homered in 5 straight in Miles Bailey that no park can contain.
Right.
And also they're on short rest. They played through Monday. They have to play again on Friday. I think they hated that more than we did. We have to travel across the country. But look, we got 2 things going for us. We had the day of rest. And then also, we get a start time on Friday that resembles what we want. It's 6 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah.
So the body clock is in its normal place for Florida State.
And we know we have a head coach who's big on body clock and times and everything else. He must have been overjoyed in a way that seems unreasonable to have gotten that start time.
Meanwhile, they're saying to themselves, well, we played into the evening on Monday. You got us going on Friday afternoon?
Yeah, like
the hell, bro?
Yeah. The guy they're throwing was dealing. He struck out 12 TCU Horned Frogs the last time he was out there, so we shall see. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
What makes Paul's Termite and Pest Control the best in North Florida?
It's our core values, of course, and they happen to spell Paul's.
P, protecting you and your pets from pests and your property from termites. A, accept personal responsibility. At Paul's, we realize it's up to us to get things right and strive to do more than's expected.
U, uphold company values. Those values include treating others with respect and understanding we represent Paul's Pest Control on and off the clock.
L, look the part. As representatives of this great company, we will always make sure that our image matches the character of Paul's.
S, support the team. Every job we do is a total team effort to create a supportive workplace.
P, protecting you, your pets, and your property. A, accept personal responsibility. U, uphold company values. L, look the part. S, support the team. Paul's core values. They make us the best.
For the elimination of termites and other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Porterman, you're walking crooked again. What happened to you?
Well, I was sitting at the boat ramp sipping on a margarita when my alligator Hank decided we needed to go water skiing.
Oh, no.
Next thing you know, Hank's strapped to 4 skis and I'm hanging on his back and the boat is pulling us out. It was all going great till Hank spotted a duck in the lily pads and wanted to jump the wake.
Porterman, you're crazy. No wonder you got hurt.
Yep, one's taking its air, water, then bam, now I can't even bend over to put on my own water skis.
Well, Porterman, you better get over to Thin Chiropractic right now. You can book an appointment online and take advantage of the new patient special.
Special offer online? That's easier than wrestling an airboat off a sandbar.
That's right. Just go to thinchiro.com. FENNCHIRO.com. FENNCHIRO.com.
That's it. I'm headed over there boogity to get straightened out.
Craving something different? Discover the bold and surprising flavors of Peru at Café de Martín. From sizzling lomo saltado to savory handmade empanadas, every dish is made with heart, history, and soul. Crafted by classically trained Chef Martín himself. It's not just food. It's a trip to Peru without the plane ticket. Swing by Café de Martín today and taste the tradition. Café de Martín. Authentic Peruvian. Right around the corner.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust. Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits. A $2,000 value, free.
Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-298-2007. That's 800-298-2007. 800-298-2007.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Should be a fun, one of the things that I think about is everybody always wants to get off to a good start. You want to have an opportunity to play from in front, all of those things. Teams that I think will have the utmost confidence. I think these are going to be really good games. Like sometimes you look at a matchup and you go, ooh, I'm not so sure. This one's, I feel like we're going to be watching a 3-game series. Like it's going to be 1-1 and we're going to be biting our fingernails. And it'll be fun. It's what's supposed to be. Now, you could overwhelm. Jamie Arnold could be on his game, and you could dominate there. You could end up getting the best of it because you have the better pitchers. We'll see. Oregon State's pitching really well right now, so that I don't know. It won't be a team that, I guess the overriding thing here is I was trying to glean statistically, is there something that stands out that is a huge advantage for us or a huge advantage for them? And I came across as sort of, just a good series.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say is just looking at regional competition. Am I going to fall into the trap about the SEC? Yes, I am. I'm not sure that just watching USC, that they are as much of a challenge, and St. Mary's is as much of a challenge as what we saw in Mississippi State. And frankly, Bethune was pretty good too.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I did not come away impressed with Southern Cal. Now,
right. And you go back a week and what we played in the ACC tournament, you can go 2 weeks. North Carolina, Duke, UNC again, Bethune, and then Mississippi State for 2. And just in terms of the trending as we're getting on the plane and going west, I feel like we've seen a little bit more. We've seen a little bit more quality competition to get ready for this moment.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So I just was shocked. I could not believe that Southern Cal hadn't been back to double check my stats on this, Tom. I think I heard that Southern Cal hasn't won a super regional in 20 years, 19 years. I mean, you're talking about a program that was the jewel of college baseball for a long stretch. It was, they'd won a multitude of national championships.
Holy smokes. Yeah, 2001 was the last time they've been to, so pre-9/11 was the last time they were in Omaha.
I could not believe that. How do you let a program of that stature fall into that state of disrepair?
Well, I got something for you here. Truthfully, they had a nice run at the end of the 90s, but there was nothing happening from 1978 to 1995. They didn't go.
Yeah.
1978 to 1995, that's a long time, and baseball hadn't matured at that point, so they're really not doing much with fertile baseball grounds. Then it was 95, 98, 2000, 2001. So they went 4 times in the span of 6-7 seasons.
They always felt like they were there when we went out there during those glory runs.
They were.
Yeah.
They very much were. But then zilch since.
Give me their national championships, Southern Cal. I know this isn't a Southern Cal show.
Oh, good Lord.
But just in baseball, obviously.
48, 58, 61, 63, 68, 71, 2, 73. Oh, my God. They won 5 in a row.
Yeah.
So they won 6 out of 7 from 1968 to 1974.
I equated them at one point to the Montreal Canadiens in hockey. They were that kind of dominant.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Because Montreal had that one random one in 1993.
They also had, 4 straight. Yeah.
But in the original 6 days, they've got 23, 24
It's insane.
cups.
Yeah. No, I did. Southern Cal was the most prestigious college baseball program in America. And when you have that kind of history, can you imagine forsaking if Florida State had 20, 15, 10 national championships in a sport, any sport for that matter? and you win another 20-something years and didn't get back to, the postseason, to the tournament where you can win another one? You don't even get back to that?
Yeah, so they hadn't even won a regular regional. Now I know that they changed, over time, but since 2005, it's been 20 years since they made it out of the first weekend of the postseason. 20.
First weekend of the
Just
postseason.
the first weekend.
That's what
I'm
I mean.
not asking you to go to
That's
Omaha.
the stat that they brought up, was the 20-year thing. I was stunned by that. I would be enraged if I were a Southern Cal graduate. I'd be like, "What are we out here just a bunch of a-holes not even trying?" I mean, it seems to be impossible to be bad at baseball in Los Angeles. It seems impossible. Well, for that matter, football.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of years between 1979 and now, as you well know as a Pittsburgh Pirates fan.
That's correct. Many years.
In that time, since you last won a World Series, they've been to the College World Series 5 times. Yeesh.
That's rather remarkable. That'll hurt your feelings.
Imagine telling some dude in L.A. who loved him some USC Trojans baseball.
Yeah.
That in 1978, when they're hoisting the trophy, you're going to win one more. It'll be 20 years from now. In 1998, you're going to win another one. You're only going to go back 5 times.
Well, I don't know how you win one in 98. That's modern history. That's recent, relatively. And then don't show up again for another 20-plus years. Like, you're still not back. And one thing that stands out, this is why it's hard to glean what Oregon State is. When I watched that game, both of the games against Southern Cal looked tiny. Baseball is a sport where you can win and you can be 5'9", whatever. But you don't see a team full of guys against another team in which it's obvious while watching a baseball game that one group is physically superior over the other, and it's demonstrative. It's not like, oh, well, that's a big guy, or, hey, that's a big first baseman, or that's, no, it looked player for player like these were 2 different divisions when I watched Oregon State and USC. I used to get frustrated about that with us back in the day. We went through a stretch where we were pretty damn small, where you looked at us and you're like, why is Florida so much bigger than us?
Right.
In baseball, it happened every year for a stretch.
And we'd be like, all right, Drew Carlton touched 92.
Yeah, like we were having to trick everybody.
Right, and they've got A.J. Puck.
And you're going, okay, all right, this is going to be a toughie. That's not the case with Florida State anymore.
No.
When you look at baseball now, we got a bunch of big guys. I mean, good Lord. Cam Smith is a monster. Miles Bailey's a monster. You go back through the last couple of years, we got dudes.
Hey, you got Hankerson coming off the bench.
No, you got dudes now. You got guys. Big dudes, athletes, all that. It's there. Like, they've upgraded the clay to mold.
That's right. I mean, if you just were an Oregon State fan watching Peyton Prescott in the bullpen, you go, oh, what the hell is this? And that's what we say sometimes. We say, well, what the hell is this?
They have a pitcher that, and we don't talk about him in the interview, so I'll highlight it here. The guy that pitched against Southern Cal for them, his name is James DeCreamer. And he's from Idaho, middle of nowhere, Idaho. He saw them in 2018 and fell in love with the program and wanted to be an Oregon State Beaver. Can't wait to be a Beaver. And anyhow, he ended up getting hurt from overlifting and overthrowing. So he screwed up his spine and his shoulder.
Oh, Jesus. His spine?
He had to have multiple surgeries. The guy, they tabbed him to start. They were out of pitching in that game going into the the final game where they played twice and, all that.
Yeah, so game 7 of the regional.
Yes. And they had to go to somebody, and they tab him to start. And it's only his second start. And he's a guy that missed 18 months rehabbing from the surgeries and trying to get his arm back. And there you go. And he threw 95 and off that fastball 2 other pitches and was confounding every one of those guys. So there's a depth of arm there, but we too have guys that match those numbers. I'm not saying that, but that is really cool. That is really cool. Have we made the announcement yet?
No, we're going to get that announcement in about 90 minutes.
I was hoping we'd get it today on the air because I see guys are now, I just clicked back over. I see guys are talking about it in the chat. I said yesterday and hell on Monday that I thought we should start Vellini. Yeah. And I'm curious to see if they do.
Yeah, well, it's the whole argument about regular rest. Yeah. If it was a Saturday game one,
you'd have Jamie, and that'd be that. Yeah, it would be a no-brainer.
In this case, though, if you do start Vellini, I often used to say this about 11 and make you laugh. I hope somebody's warming as the game starts. And look, Vellini's had a very good season, but of late, shaky at best.
Yeah.
And he's throwing so many more innings than he's ever thrown. So it's not a knock on him because you could tell he has the fire within. He does have a profile, again, as we're going to learn next hour, that kind of fits well against the opponent that we're facing. Not exactly throwing 99 from the left side, but he's more of a move the ball in and out, spot it, that kind of stuff from the left side. So maybe there's something here. But given the ballpark, given the temperatures, given what we saw last week in regional play, I would imagine if it's not Jamie starting, in all other situations, you probably have dudes at the ready, if not outright fully warming up in the pen.
So the whole situation is about rest. Obviously, in any normal situation, you would start Jamie Arnold. It's a no-brainer. We already know that. He's your ace, and he's, when he's right, he's your best pitcher. However, he is not on full rest, and he hasn't pitched well when he's not on full rest. He has not been dominant in any way, shape, or form when he doesn't have his normal rest. And I just think because the most well-rested arm of the bunch is Vellini, that you take your chances in this situation because you're going to need Arnold and Mendez on full rest. Now, Mendez has been lights out. So you have no problem. First of all, you're not conceding a loss on Friday. You're not conceding a loss.
No, they're
tomorrow.
The one on short rest. They're the one that really has to scramble with their staff.
Yeah. And so you know what? I will think to myself that, all right, fine. You do that. Vellini, when right, is a dog. I mean, you remember the Clemson game. You remember how good he's been when he's right. Now, he hasn't been that guy again recently. Weird set of circumstances that he's pitched in recently. But anyhow, I don't worry about his mentality.
I'll concede that. No, it's not about a lack of being mentally tough. I just think he looks tired. Now, he's had a lot of rest these last couple of weeks. But Lenk even said it, that had his performance been better against Bethune, even with the 2 hours, they would have run him back out there. And they made that decision because of the performance. It wasn't about the delay. It was about performance. So he's had a ton of rest. He threw only 3 innings in Durham. He only threw 2 innings this past week. So, yeah, I see that. I think in terms of hockey lines, I would make sure that the line of Vellini and Abraham and Charles is ready to go tomorrow. Like, that's the 3 men I'm sending in my brain. Now, the score might dictate that I choose different guys. Hopefully we're way ahead, so I don't have to burn through them. But and Vellini throws 6 innings, then I really am in a place of power. But I'm thinking about those 3 guys for tomorrow.
What was Arnold's pitch count?
Oh, it was in the ones.
Well,
118, 120.
Yeah, I thought it was 119. I can't remember. What was Mendez's? I mean, he's going to be on full rest. He won't go until the 3rd game if they need him to. But I just trying to remember that.
So Mendez went back out there in the 90s, I think, for the 8th.
119 is what I remember Arnold being. And no dad's saying that as well. Yeah, 119. So 119 pitches. I think that's right.
No, we'll go with that. I mean,
that's a lot of pitches and on short rest coming up. Makes you nervous. It's not an easy decision. I'm not saying this is foolproof. I'm saying this is a tough decision for him.
105 for Mendez. Again, yes, you're not thinking about him for tomorrow.
No.
But 105 is what he threw in the 8 innings on Sunday.
Yeah, he was great. 105 is not terrible. I don't worry about that. 119, we are up there now. Now we're getting up there. Again, that's an argument for somebody other than Arnold. And I love Arnold, but I want him to be the most effective version of himself. And he hasn't been that when he's been on short rest or the schedule's gotten any way altered.
Right, and it's not defeatist to say you're playing game 2 either way. So it's either him as the stopper or him as the guy who's going to put the nail in the coffin. Either way, you're going to use him in that setting. I just wish we were Saturday to Monday. I know Oregon State wishes that too.
Yeah.
But then you'd have a lot of options at your disposal about how you want to order things out.
Gonna be fun. This is why you do it. This is always great. I'm nervous already. I get pumped for these things. You just got to keep giving yourself a chance. We say it all the time. I don't focus so much on the failures of the past, but the opportunities of the future. And do you put yourself in a position to get out there? Funny things happen in Omaha. Unfortunately, we know that all too well, but we've also gone on some good runs with teams that we didn't think would go far out in Omaha. We've seen teams win the whole damn thing that we're not the best team in college baseball, and that's what can happen in a truncated tournament. But you got to be in said truncated tournament.
Look, put it this way: you do what you need to do this weekend in Corvallis. Next week at this time, you are on the eve of Game 1 of the College World Series. That would be a preview show that we love to do every year because it's for championships.
Well, and we're aligned with Miami and Louisville. And you would much rather play. I'm getting ahead of us. We're out too far ahead of our skis here. You got to beat Oregon State. It's a good team, higher seeded team. And you're on the road, 2,900 miles away. But if you do, I think we're in a weird position. We're over here having to talk about rooting for Miami to beat Louisville. The rooting's a strong word. The bottom line is Louisville's better than Miami. Louisville was better than us this year. They're good.
Yeah, people are afraid of saying that word. And I understand it, but I care more about what's in the best interest of giving us the highest chance to win a national championship. And it would be foolish to argue against the fact that Miami winning that super regional would give us the highest chance of winning our first game in Omaha if we make it. They would. So you could say that I can never root for Miami. All right. But I think you could agree that objectively, Miami winning 2 out of 3 against Louisville gives us the best chance to win the first game of the College World Series. And that game tomorrow precedes ours. We play at 6, they play at 3. Both games on ESPN2, so you get a nice little preview before it's go time for us.
Go see my man Shannon Young if you're trying to get a loan to buy your dream home. Shannon is our guy. He does amazing work for a lot of people that have answered back and said, thanks for turning me on to him. Loansfornoles.com. He's a fellow Nole. He is a tireless worker, very smart, and a lot of great connections. This is a guy that's now with Cross Country Mortgage, 7 different states, better rates, better options, stronger support, faster response, relentless, goal-oriented. He is what you want. His passion is unflappable. Loansfornoles.com. That's loansfornoles.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Otherwise, cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun. High temperatures reach up to 88. Winds out of the south, 5 to 10 miles.
And you can too. MillerSeptic.com. That's it. That's the commercial. That's the whole thing. Check them out. It's MillerSeptic.com.
Not all heroes wear capes. Some wear grass-stained sneakers, carry a lunchbox to work, and show up day after day with quiet strength. This Father's Day, Real Talk 93.3 and the law offices of Basic Brooks are looking for the real dads. And one of them will win the Ultimate Dad Prize. Free tickets to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a free round of golf for 4, and a well-earned steak dinner, thanks to Basic Brooks. If you know a dad who's given everything for his family, a father, a husband, friend, nominate them. Tell us what makes him great. His story could win him the Ultimate Dad Prize he truly deserves. Submit your entry now at realtalk93.com, and we'll announce the winner live on the air Friday, June 13th. Let us know who you think should be crowned as the 2025 Real Dad.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot.
The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds.
There's like, families. There's different families. And,
so there's if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti, right?
Yep,
and then
Yeti.
Here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And,
I've never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world, Jeff. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
But I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Florida, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I was blown away. I saw something last night, and statistically, sometimes things creep up on you, and you're looking at something and you go, I had no idea. But it's the time of year you're taking in an awful lot of baseball, both college and pro baseball. If you're a baseball guy, that's the way it is. And I do the dance. I go all around. Of course, by the way, the Pirates scored 2 runs in the first 2 innings last night against the Astros right out the gate. For our no-name pitcher who's been called up the last 2 weeks, we're out here just dropping runs on the Astros early. Let Paul Skeens pitch. There's 0 chance we're going to score a run. So we win last night 3-0, just as we lost 3-0 the night before. That's an aside. Either way, just allows me to flip around and kind of do what I do, checking on teams, seeing where they're at. And obviously I check on your Mets on the regular. But it occurred to me that how in the world have the Braves fallen to 6 games under 500 currently after getting healthier? And, they're burying themselves. They're behind the damn Nationals in the standings at this point. And Chris Sale pitched a gem of a game last night and got the loss. 10 strikeouts. All right, so that's the root of this stat that blew me away. Double-digit strikeouts for Chris Sale, who obviously was incredible a year ago and won the Cy Young and all those other things. And I started thinking about Chris Sale. And, of course, Chris Sale was on the mound when the Red Sox won and has been elite since he came into the league. Was with the White Sox, and always a beanpole, looking like he was going to blow away in the wind with that arm angle and all those things. He now has, here you go, Braves fans, 90 double-digit strikeout games. That is 8th in the history of baseball. He has the 8th most games pitched in which he struck out double-digit batters. They've been playing baseball for 150 years, Tom. 170 years. My man is 8th all-time in double-digit strikeout games? That's crazy.
It is, and because you got 2 competing trends going on. Number one, you'd say, well, this is the era of the strikeout. Nobody cares about striking out. Sure, but this is not the era of going deep into games. So you have, generations of pitchers pitching 9 innings. And when you record 27 outs or 24 outs on the regular, as pitchers did in those days, more opportunities to strike 10 dudes out.
Sure.
So even though this is the era of the strikeout in the last however many years, 5, 10, that is quite impressive.
8th all time.
And he's missed so much time with
3
injuries.
years worth of injuries. I mean, basically 3 seasons worth of time missed due to injuries. In fact, I went down the road. If you look into Chris Sale's career and you give him his averages and add 3 years based on the time he missed. I know you can't do that, and people miss time in baseball. It's an awfully long season. Things happen. But they don't miss 3 years worth of baseball a lot of times. If you do that, I mean, he's a no-brainer Hall of Famer. He's not right now. He's not at all. But, I mean, it's pretty damn impressive.
That's one of the most special elbows in history.
Because his arm angle, it makes 0 sense.
Yeah, I mean, when he came up, I remember years ago, I was working on the beat for a different outlet with Corey Dowler, who is a humongous White Sox fan. I'm like, well, enjoy him before his arm falls off, dude. Because, I mean, that's cool now. There's no way he's going to be pitching later into his career. And yes, he had injury troubles, but I couldn't imagine that 15 years later, or whatever it is, he's 12, 13 years into his career, that he'd still be going. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I like the guy. And I'm happy for him. That's just nuts to me.
He's also got the right mentality of he's got enough red ass, but then there's enough human being in there. I like the balance that he has in the way that he presents himself on the hill.
It's impressive. Florida State, let me bring it back to the Noles. Look like they're going to be bringing in Eli Putnam. And you don't know Eli Putnam, and I don't know Eli Putnam before today. Now I know Eli Putnam because it looks like, according to the website 64analytics.com, that he has decided to transfer to Florida State. He played at Davidson. He was a star there at Davidson. Interesting about baseball players, right? You can get them from anywhere. They can be from Dallas Baptist, Davidson, East Carolina. It doesn't matter. If they're elite, they're elite. It usually translates.
Hobart.
Right. It's interesting. It's fascinating watching guys come from all over the place in baseball in a way. I mean, they can do it in football too, but those are usually somewhat outliers. I guess I'm saying this because I'm encouraged. A lot of times, elite baseball numbers that we would all equate to being an elite player, that could be in the A10, it could be in Conference USA, it could be in the A-Sun, it could be wherever. You get those players, they come in, and they're productive. They don't fall off a cliff. We don't watch a guy like, well, clearly he was rushing for 1,000 yards against Division III kids. Now, you see something like that. Those guys sometimes don't translate. You're like, well, this is a much different level. Not true in baseball. A lot of guys translate just fine. And if he translates at all, we just picked up a huge recruit. Over the last 2 years combined, he's hit 350 with 35 home runs, 120 RBIs, 34 doubles, and has slugged over 660, and he steals bases. This is a bad bitch. This is a dude doing some things now.
As long as he doesn't take the MLB payday.
Well, he might.
That's the whole thing.
Well, that's true. And he very well might. But if he doesn't, you got a dude.
Yeah, he's played around the horn in the infield.
He'll play where Drew Farrow is right now.
I would think so, too. Yeah. You're not taking Cal from third. You're not taking Bailey off of first. And
I mean, I guess you could move Cal over. I mean, he can do that too. I don't know which one's more proficient at third.
The one thing I'd say is his fielding percentage when he's not playing first base, because this kid's played first as well.
He has.
Is not great. So I
think Miles is first baseman next year. So
I'd rather have him play second versus third. Is my point.
Yeah,
like if it's because he's playing second base, I think his fielding percentage was in the 960s or 950s. Okay. I don't need that with the long throw, man. Probably not, but it's fine. We'll figure out a place for him. And Link just doesn't like to bring in dudes that don't have a natural position that they play in his mind.
And he wouldn't. I mean, he wouldn't.
Correct.
But you're going to bring that bat in.
Yes, sir.
I mean, goodness gracious, that's an awful lot. So good for him and good for the Noles. And I have faith, obviously, they're going to recruit well in the portal and otherwise.
Well, if you can bring Hankerson back, and that's going to be a question mark, but if you can grab him back and Chase Williams, and you got Miles and Fisher and this kid, I mean, you're off to a very good start. And I'm sure maybe they'll retain another player or two that I'm not thinking about, but Hankerson's going to, climb up the ranks, and Carnes behind the plate.
I like Carnes.
It's a good lineup. I don't think it's the total rebuild, and there's a good piece right now that Ira wrote on the total rebuild. You can find it on Warchant right now. He released it today, year over year. This isn't quite the heavy lift that last year was. When they got to that offseason and they lost everybody, including they lost Ferrer and Cantu. We knew that.
Marco Dinges
is the one that one hurt. That one still hurts me.
Bothers me.
He was on this roster. Good gracious.
Well, you would just lengthen this lineup even more.
Yeah. But it's not going to feel like that, I don't think, next year.
No, I think the program's rolling now. He's in year 3, and obviously he's been able to vet what he had originally with that god-awful first year, turned it right around in all of one full season. They were back in Omaha, one of the last 4 standing. They are on the cusp, potentially, of getting back to Omaha here with 2 more wins. I think this is going to be an annual occurrence, that they are a regional team, and vying for the super regional will be the norm. I don't think people understand it is not an annual right to be out to Omaha. Ask Vanderbilt, ask Texas, ask all the SEC teams that just got bludgeoned, who were very, very sure that they were on their way to Omaha, or at the very least a super regional, but nay. Ask Georgia, who lost at home.
Georgia's like, what the hell? We just got good. We're supposed to be right through the door.
Yeah, this is what happens, though. Baseball's fickle and weird, and, I mean, you can't just impin figure you're going to be a Omaha-bound team, but you can, and I do for this program when operating at peak efficiency, you can absolutely put in pen that they're going to be in a regional and that they many times will be hosting said regional, at least the first one. And yeah, I think that's where the program's at now. It's a matter of how many opportunities you give yourself to keep going back out there and one day punch the ticket. And won't we all fall to our knees and say, finally, my God, it's happened. I don't even know how we'll handle ourselves if Florida State wins the national championship in baseball.
Well, Vellini's got another year. I don't know if 1 year of pitching 80 innings is enough for him to get an offer that's good enough for him to leave for pro baseball. So you could potentially have Mendez Vellini back next year as your starting rotation Friday, Saturday, and then all of these bats in the lineup. Yeah, man, this is looking like heady times. That's a very, very good get if the kid doesn't go pro.
Yeah, and it's funny because you do that just like we do in football. You get a kid, and you're like, well, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But I'm holding my breath. That interview will be next hour with Joe Freeman. We'll get caught up and figure out who Oregon State is. You'll want to be tuned in. It's a good interview. You're going to enjoy it. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Games for Less, Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used games, as well as new and used consoles like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Atari 2600, PS4, and PS5. You name it. Locally owned and operated since 1994, trade-ins are not only welcome, but Games for Less pays more for your trade-ins than the big chain stores. That's not all. Games for Less now buys and sells new and used vinyl records to boot. George loves the Beatles, by the way. Reserve all the new releases today at Games for Less, conveniently located in the Walmart Supercenter Plaza on Appalachian Parkway.
Do you own a small business? Let me guess. You started your business so you could get bogged down with payroll and bookkeeping, office tasks, and other paperwork, right? Probably not. I'm Craig Collins with Collins Income Tax Solutions. Allow me to help you get out from behind your desk and get back to doing what you love. For any of your payroll, bookkeeping, or other business services, give me a call today and allow me to take it off your plate. You can find my contact information online at collinsincometaxsolutionsllc.com.
Hey, NOL fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Hey everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansfornoles.com. That is, again, loansfornoles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Noles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansfornoles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansfornoles.com.
Equal housing NMLS 373031.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show, live and local on Real Talk 93.3, WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Your sports flash update on Real Talk 93.3 in Tallahassee.
Busy day yesterday for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have signed wide receiver Trenton Irwin and defensive end DeJuan Smoot. They also make the decision to waive wide receiver David White Jr. They are releasing running back Kalen Robinson. And in their final move of the day, they are bringing in a free agent linebacker Dennis Gardeck, as he is set to come in after being an undrafted free agent out of Division II Sioux Falls. Baseball yesterday, Rays over the Rangers 5-4. That series does continue today. Marlins lose to the Rockies 3-2, getting swept by Colorado. Marlins off today. They'll play Tampa coming up tomorrow. This Sports Flash is presented by Progressive. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo insurance, and save with Progressive. I'm Matt Pauley on Real Talk 93.3.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So we had a huge new business pitch.
Attention, all hands on deck.
When, boom, our only printer was fried.
Up in smoke. What's your chances of landing that account?
Well, I just sent the file to Staples. Devin, the print associate, was on it. She had it printed and bound the same day.
So where's the drama?
There wasn't any. Staples made it super easy.
Inconceivable. For the product, services, and experts you need, Staples.
That was easy.
In-store, online, and on the app.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Is your lunch break feeling a little bland? Escape the ordinary with a visit to Café de Martín. Whether it's a fresh ceviche or a steaming plate of arroz con pollo, our Peruvian flavors turn any lunch hour into a culinary adventure. Fast, flavorful, and always unforgettable. Café de Martín is your new go-to for lunch. Visit the menu online at cafedemartin.com.
Give your business a facelift with a modern, consistent, creative brand overhaul from Curiosity Marketing Group. These days, it's not enough for your business just to have a standard website or a Google listing to reach your customers. Your business needs to stand out with eye-popping branding, modern web development, and strong marketing. And it takes a team to pull it all together. Words and websites matter. At Curiosity, we make the most of yours. Find out more at curiositymg.com.
I used to fight almost on a daily basis working on my business website. I'm a pretty smart guy, but I could never get it to function the way I needed it to, and I was losing customers because of it. That's when I called Curiosity Marketing. They listened, they understood, we collaborated, and in the end, they delivered beyond my highest expectations. Now, I can barely keep up with the work. They say the future belongs to the curious, and now I'm excited about the future of my business.
Find out more at curiositymg.com.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
passing it around, spreading the wealth, and providing opportunities for the show to grow. I do appreciate that. Also appreciate you listening on terrestrial radio, of course, on 93.3 Real Talk Radio, only locally owned radio station in all the cities. So that's it's encouraging when you support that, and I appreciate you doing that as well. I saw where a former Nole, we all remember very well, wasn't that long ago that he was here, James Ramsey has been named the head baseball coach at Georgia Tech. Good for you, James Ramsey. Congratulations to him, and it's always good to see Noles succeed out there. I saw where Jameis Winston sent a encouraging video to Luke Clanton. Did you watch it?
It's a very natural pairing. Oddly, no, but I saw it. The reason I say oddly is because I watched it without sound, and I got more of a kick out of it, so I didn't actually replay it
just
with
kind of,
sound.
yeah, watching.
Luke's face is like, what in the world? Jameis, somebody's holding up a camera for him, recording the message. I just think that's, I get a kick out of that. That's cool.
It made me laugh as well, but it's a big, big weekend in Tallahassee because of the recruits that will be in town. We're looking at upwards of close to 20 recruits that will be visiting campus this weekend. And, you know, I don't spend a ton of time on who's what there. Just note that they 4 or 5 stars next to their name and what kind of chance we have of getting them. And, you know, one thing I have noticed is that you're not really in the running off a 2 and 10 to be out here grabbing 5-star players. You're just not seeing it. And you're seeing guys decide not to visit in some cases. I think there was a defensive end that declined to come, who was originally, they thought, going to maybe make his way in, did not, is not. But I have made the point, and again, there are people who cover recruiting more in-depthly for our website and all around the beat. I will concede that. But I feel like Florida State's not, unless it's a very unique situation like this quarterback out of Houston, they're not really in a position right now. And you got to undo what just happened. They're really not in a position to pursue these 5-star kids at most places, most positions, especially not 5-star kids that are going to visit places like Texas and Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia. You're not going to beat them. You're not. There might be exceptions. There are outliers, and you got to pursue that when you recognize it. If you have fostered some sort of relationship or there is some sort of connection to the school, it could be a legacy thing. It could just be that a high school coach has an affinity for Florida State for whatever reason. That's fine. Then you pursue that because you got a chance to actually land that kid improbably. I get that. But a lot of times I think you're wasting resources and efforts and time with kids that you're not going to beat Ohio State for, Georgia for, kids like that. You're just not, because you're coming off a 2 and 10 and you haven't been especially good at recruiting, period.
Yeah, I think there's a shot to get 1 or 2 of those kids, but you should just focus on 1 or 2 of those kids at the 5-star level and then throw all the money in the world at them, because that's how you're going to get their attention at this point. You know, it might be that a relationship opens the door for the conversation to happen. And in the reporting I've seen from our side, that Tony Tokars was very close to Keyshawn Henderson.
Yes.
And has forged a good bond. So much so that he has not scheduled an OV anywhere else. Like, he's committed to Houston. He's not going on an OV. This as of last week. I don't know if something had changed this week, other than Florida State, you know, to teams, to places that he's not committed to. But you can't be casting a net of 5 or 6 5-star players because you're not going to be able to afford all of them.
And you're just not going to win their services at this point.
Right. But I think you can get to 1 or 2. This is how they flipped people after going 2 and 10 without fully completing their staff changes last December. They just threw money at the problem, and they got some yeses. Now, Tylon Lee ended up turning into a 5-star. He wasn't in the moment, but the recruiting rankings adjustments at the end bumped him up to a 5, and he was an Ole Miss commit. So it is possible, but you're not bringing them in droves, and I don't think you got the budget to bring them in droves, so choose your battles wisely. And it is wise, if you're going to go after a 5-star, to go after a quarterback, because if you do get a commitment from him, then you're going to get more visits from other kids, and not just the ones where they just want to go to get free stuff and have fun in Tallahassee. Like, they're going to come to Tallahassee with a reason and say, why did this kid say yes? It can't be just about the money. What do they have cooking over there at Florida State?
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement there. I just think that when you have the time, resources, and efforts to go get a legacy kid like an offensive lineman like Aaron Thomas, whose father was Eric Thomas, who I remember very well, I think you got to make sure you get him. Now, I know you're battling, even though he's a 3-star, He's 6'7", 300-plus pounds. You're battling with the likes of an Ohio State for that kid. I understand, but you have a real shot at him. The legacy part of it, the fact that he is a 3-star, you could win that kid over. I'm going to war for guys like that right now. I got to win the best of the 3 and low 4s. I got to win that, and I got to put a product on the field next year that allows me to get better visits from better quality players.
Well, that's the other thing, too. Whatever commitments you get this year, I consider to be soft commitments because they've got to see the product to validate what they're being told
that's
right now.
100% correct.
But that doesn't mean it has to be 9-3 or 10-2. It just has to be competent/improving. I mean, that's how Mike got this thing going the first go-around was he promised kids nothing of the sort when it related to ACC championships, 10-win seasons in 2021 and 2022. He just said, watch us work, watch us get better. And so he set the expectations properly. He delivered on those expectations. Now you got to do damage control, and you got to throw briefcases at the problem. I keep bringing it up. I know it might be boring, but NIL matters a lot right now. When you're bad, the money is the thing that's going to do the talking for you. They prove that they have enough to flip some high-profile kids, including 6'1" Usman Kroma, who's going to wear number 32 for us. All right. So that, to me, tells me you could contend at the top level with a school like Georgia or Alabama or Ohio State for a kid or two.
Yeah.
Choose them wisely.
But and again, without having the inside scoop on a relationship the way that recruitniks do, like Michael Langston and Matt Lasser are talking to people that know the kids and the kids themselves, and other people, again, on the beat do this. I'm not saying I know these relationships. I don't. But surface level, just taking a cursory glance, like, do you really think they could bring in an Ernest Rankins and somehow he's a defensive lineman? A defensive end? Do you really think they're going to get that kid and pry him away from Georgia? I mean, it's cool he's visiting, but I don't feel like that's in earnest. Forgive the pun; it's his name, Ernest. But I really don't feel like that's it, right? I don't.
Yeah, probably not.
I mean,
probably, but you got a running back they really wanted from them at the 11th hour last year.
I know,
and you got a kid from Ole Miss who they really wanted at end. Now that's not the same caliber of program as Georgia, but Jesse Harold was an LSU heavy lean. You grabbed him; he's a 4-star edge rusher. I agree with you. Of the top flight kids who are going to have Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia and Texas in bidding wars for their services, that's not a sustainable strategy. It's not a good use of time.
It's only not a sustainable strategy right now.
Correct.
We don't want to say that Florida State ought not aspire to be that. That's where they've got to get to. We're mad they're not at that place. That's the frustration. There's the rub, that they're not. Florida State is a place that ought to be trafficking in 5-star kids on the regular. We ought to be in these huge fights with the best of the best in college football. That's part of our lament. That's part of our angst. But then also being realist and pragmatic matters at a time when you're coming off a 2-10 season and you don't have the momentum to garner the yeses from kids of that caliber. So therefore you spend wisely, you raise your floor, you put together a 9-3 season, you get a big win over a Clemson or a Alabama or a Miami or a Florida, whatever, and you parlay that into the successes for more of those kinds of players than you currently can.
And this is why I wouldn't hit the full stop button, but the pause button. This is where you could argue, get the kids on campus, establish a relationship for now, because God forbid you beat Alabama.
Right.
Because if you do, then you can draw back to those formative conversations from that OV, and maybe you get an in-season visit for a high-profile game like Miami in October. If you were to beat Bama to start the season, it is in that moment, within 5 hours of the game finishing, because you know what? It's in the afternoon anyway. So you work till 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and you load up on that Miami weekend in October. Bring everyone to the Miami home game that next month, because you never know. You might be able to, at that point, if you beat Bama, you could be 4-0 hosting Miami, could be game day, could be a night kick. You get that extra energy. Now you've got something to pitch. And I think that's the momentum that I wouldn't totally concede and say in the 2026 cycle, you need to wave the white flag. But where I agree with you totally is you got to hit the pause button on having expectations right now. You're just trying to get the kid thinking about something else other than the 2-10 that he's hearing from the world. And then maybe if you score an upset early in the season, you can go land a couple of kids in this cycle.
Oh, well, it's one more reason to sit around and ponder, to daydream about an upset victory over Alabama.
It's why the answer to the question of Alabama or Clemson, which one do you want, is the biggest no-brainer, that question that we've had in a long time.
Yeah, in my mind, it's Alabama all day, every day, because, again, the way you're viewed right now by recruits is that of an also-ran. And there's no way to combat that because you went 2-10. So you have the only way you have ammunition to sit across and say, ha, that was the outlier. That's not what's coming down the pike. That's not the norm. See the season before and the trajectory we were on. See, now we're back. We just beat Alabama. Last year was crazy. Last year was, and you can spin it however you need to spin it. It doesn't have to be true. It never has to be true in the world of recruiting. It's what you can convince kids of. So if you're Mike, the second you have a new data point of significance, which is a win over Alabama, you can point back to the snub and blame all your failures on the snub if you have to. And you can say with a degree of confidence, well, it was unprecedented what happened to us, and I think our program took a kick, but you know what? We've rebounded. I made changes. It was a great opportunity for us to springboard into a new era and return to our dominance, and that's exactly what you saw on display in that first game against Alabama. And there's more where that came from, young man. Yeah, you can turn it all around in that way, but you got to win a game of that significance.
Right. Yeah, you could tell the kid in the last 3 calendar years, we've now beaten LSU and Alabama and Florida. I understand that we don't play the SEC week in, week out, but when we do play them, gosh, we have an excellent record against them in the last 3 to 4 seasons.
Right.
And that's now, in 4 years, 3 season openers against LSU and Alabama. We're undefeated in those situations, young man. So you tell me. Yes, you can flip it on its head, and that's where it would be a perception changer. It's a total, and you have 2 months to recruit off that. That's the thing. You could score the upset over Clemson, and we're going to feel great about it as fans, but you only have a month till signing day at that point. It's probably too late within the 2026 cycle. This weekend is about forming some relationships. There's another legacy on campus. Devin Carter's coming back, Dexter Carter's son at receiver. And let's see if Tim Harris can do some work and heavy lifting in that.
Come on, Timmy. We got to get things done out here. No more half-stepping, gang. Got to get some kids now, especially legacies. Sweet Jesus. What are we doing? They're legacies. Don't F this up. Tired of watching you guys F it up. Get these kids in here. Now, really quickly, as an aside, because we got to get to this interview, and we need to learn more together about Oregon State, because that's the issue at hand here. And Joe Freeman's going to be joining me in just a moment from the Oregonian. He's covered this team all year. He's covered Oregon sports as a whole. That's the Portland Trailblazers. That's Oregon State, Oregon, you name it. All things Pac-12, defunct Pac-12, new Pac-12, all those things. He'll join us in the next segment. We'll go along with him. But because I brought it up yesterday about the money, I just wanted to put a ribbon on it before we break. I told you North Carolina, for those that didn't listen yesterday, and they should have, great show, North Carolina is spending $14 million on their roster. So when I got home yesterday, after taking my kid to the airport and sending him off to Europe, he landed safely. I've got pictures back from London already. He's having a big time, and off he goes. I started doing some reading, and I thought, well, that wasn't the example I needed to bring up, although Carolina's in the ACC. Kentucky is spending $20 million on their basketball roster. That is as much money as Ohio State spent on their national championship winning football roster. What in the world are we doing out here?
Hoops is the ultimate money pit.
$20 million on their basketball roster. $6 million more than North Carolina. Both are insane, but they're going for it. If those two teams don't face each other in either the final game or the Final Four, then they wasted their money. Insane money just throwing out the window. That is the baseline of success when you spend $20 million on a roster in basketball. You better get there. You better be playing for it all, or it was a waste of time.
What's that akin to in baseball terms? Because I don't even think the Dodgers or the Mets payroll is on the level. That would be like $700 million for a baseball payroll.
It's pretty amazing. It is pretty amazing.
Like, could you imagine if the Dodgers, and maybe they will, who knows? If it wasn't for deferred money, they'd be up there right now.
Mm-hmm.
They had a $650 million roster, and the big bad Mets and Yankees are at 300. You'd be like, 600.
Well, and the problem is in baseball, though, you saw it already this year with the Dodgers. I mean, they're good, but they're not this 125-win team that everybody projected because they get hurt. Baseball players get hurt on the regular. They lost half their rotation, all their rotation for a stretch.
It's like the Oregon Trail to them.
Yeah.
It's like they got the typhoid flu going through their
Oh, he can't pitch tonight, John. He's got dysentery.
That's right.
There's a rattlesnake bit him.
If you'd like to go hunting for some antelope right now, we can. if you want to kill some time.
My God. He's got a broken ankle. We've got all these.
I knew we should have paid for the raft.
He's dead. I mean, that is, woo, man. Imagine you're the coach of that team. Now, listen, it's better than not having it. You got the answers to the test every night when they roll the ball out there. This is roll it out there, Roy, all over again. And you got it made because worst comes to worst, you just go, you score. I don't know what to do. This game's entirely too close, but you're better than everybody out there. Get Kyle the ball. Let him do his thing. It becomes a Jordan thing. We're like, well, you can try to defend anything you want, but my man's going to get to the basket.
That's my middle school team. Our best player was Tony, and he was the coach's son. And Rob Howard was his name of the coach. And we take a timeout under a minute to go, guys, all right, get the ball to Tony. We're going to get the ball to Tony.
And then move out of the way.
Like, he is his dad, but he's not wrong.
Yeah.
You got to get the ball to Tony.
Because Tony's going to score.
That's right.
Because Tony's going to score. And we need to score here. And Tony's going to score. That's how this is going to work. All right, I mentioned it a moment ago. We'll do it. I think you'll like this interview. Joe Freeman of the Oregonian, who's from Tallahassee. I did not know that before we talked to him today. It's great. And he has been there covering Oregon sports for over 20 years. So it's nice. Let's get caught up with that. It's coming up next. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Do you have spring fever? Your only prescription is the Lawn Johns. Hi, it's Mark from the Lawn Johns. We can make your landscape more appealing by providing you with award-winning lawn care. With 4 levels of service, the Lawn Johns offers you more choices than the rest. More flowers, more mulch, or more pine straw all means that your home or office will be more beautiful than ever. So if you've got spring fever, go to thelawnjohns.com or just look for our big purple truck.
I gotta have more cowbell.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
Honey, what are these mushrooms in our yard? Portobello?
Huh. Let me take a look. Oh,
It's hockey.
I don't know, but our septic system is failing, and our whole yard smells like
Should we try to cook these up and eat them tonight?
This is bad, Sheila.
Well, we better fix it soon, or we're going to be in deep.
Sheila, look. It's Crud Septic. Our prayers are answered.
Call Crud Septic Service today. Pump outs, installs, repairs. CrudSeptic.com. That's CrudSeptic.com.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Ain't nothing but a G-pop, baby.
I am 99% sure that is not how the lyrics go.
Well, you like remixes, right?
Of course.
Well, think of this as a Grassroots Coffee remix per se, because Grassroots Coffee is now in the single-serve coffee pod game.
Dude, those single-serve coffee pods and cups are weak sauce.
Not Grassroots Coffee G-Pods. They have more coffee in them than regular single-serve pods and cups.
Seriously?
And not only do they have more coffee, they have a built-in filter for better brewing. They fit in most Keurig machines, and they are fully compostable.
It's still the small batch, slow roasted coffee you love, so go to grassrootscoffee.com and get your box of G-Pods today.
Baby.
See?
Remix. Well, actually, that's more of an homage.
Grassroots coffee, locally owned, locally roasted, and made for everyone, loved everywhere.
Grassroots coffee teapots. So very good. Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Welcome back, Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. This is nice. This is a treat. Joe Freeman from Tallahassee, at the Oregonian for over 20 years. He's going to enlighten us about what Florida State is expected to see when taking on Oregon State. That's tomorrow, kids. That's tomorrow. Everybody geeked up for the Super Regional. We wanted to learn more. We welcome him to the show now. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jeff, man. How you living?
I'm doing great too, man. I love college baseball, love covering college baseball, love this time of year. Oregon State, a storied program, 3 national championships. Most people know that. But I want to start there just because Mitch Kenham, head coach. Let's start with the head man.
Sure.
Obviously, you know, he played there. He was a catcher there. This is a program, as I just said, storied. And there's a lot of, I would suppose, pressure there at Oregon State because he followed a legend. Well, he followed a couple guys that followed a legend. But anyhow, it's not like they're, you know, devoid of success. And this is a program that is beloved. So what's he about? Because to listen to him talk and to see him interviewed, and that's how I've seen him from afar, he seems like a player's coach. He seems like a guy that you would love to go to war with.
You spot on, Jeff. He is a very measured man. You see him in the dugout. He's very stoic, very unlike Pat Casey, who was the legendary coach there. Mitch played on their back-to-back national championship teams in 2006 and 2007. So he really bleeds black and orange, if you will. He loves the program. And I guess the biggest credit I can give to him is that when the Pac-12 imploded, the roster did not. The entirety of the team, at least every key player, stayed. I mean, they lost 7 guys to the draft last year. They lost, 2/3 of their starting rotation. They lost 2 outfielders. They lost 3/4 of their infield, including the number 1 overall pick in the draft, Travis Bazzana. But everybody else stayed. They had some very high draft pick or highly thought of guys who bypassed the draft to land in the program. They all stayed. The entire coaching staff stayed. They have a guy who probably will start Friday because they had to play Monday. His name's Dax Whitney. He was a possible 1st or 2nd round pick in the draft out of high school last year. He's a 6'5" freshman, throws 98 miles an hour. He landed in Corvallis instead of turning pro. So you look at the program that he's helped build to kind of, bridge what Pat Casey did. He kind of has built this, culture is the buzzword with all the college coaches and all that. Bad culture when you see it. And he has built a really big culture with a lot of emphasis on family and togetherness and all that kind of stuff. So a guy who bleeds orange and black, like I said, loves the program. And not only did he stay, but he got everybody else to stay too.
I'll ask you about, you just referred to him, Dax Whitney had the 12K masterpiece against TCU. You wrote about it and certainly saw it. And he had 4 pitches working for him. He was dominant. We'll get into what Florida State's going to see with him in a moment. But I do want to talk to you about this culture in this team because I think, I'll just tell you this. It's funny. On my show, when we talk about big picture college sports, college athletics, college football, everybody has sort of an empathy for what happened to Oregon State and Washington State. And anybody that loves the through line and the traditions, the fabric of college sports, hates what's happened in college athletics with the destruction of the Pac-12 and traditional rivalries being thrown by the wayside in the interest of money and super conferences and all of that. And to that end, Oregon State had to travel 23,465 miles this year to play their baseball games. Talk about what I don't know what that does. Obviously, Oregon State's been very, very good, 40-plus wins. They've handled it just fine. But putting together a schedule like that, having to figure it out, everybody from Ohio State to Virginia to Indiana to all the West Coast teams. I mean, this has been – how much hell has this been for the two remaining teams of the Pac-12?
Well, it's been a complete blank show for sure. And, you know, most of Oregon State's programs went to the West Coast Conference to play a kind of a 2-year bridge schedule. Mitch Canham said that's not going to work for us. It was his message to his AD and to his program. And he decided to kind of pitch and go the bold path of going independent. And it's hard to describe how much work it took for him to put that together. He had to build an entire schedule from scratch. And basically what he did is he got out the old Excel spreadsheet. He started calling around to programs across the country, played in a bunch of high profile preseason, you know, kind of exhibition tournaments before the regular conference season started, and then just patched it together from there. It required them, as you said, to play the majority of their games on the road. I think they played 19 in the regular season at home. Now, bear in mind, it's one of the better home stadiums in the country. They went 17-2 at home. So they lost that sizable advantage of that. But they kind of just adopted this mindset of us against the world, so to speak. And, you know, he kind of said after they lost they dropped their first game in the regional, they kind of wet the bed there. And he's like, why not? After this season, after everything we've gone through, why wouldn't we have to come up through the losers bracket at the most important time of the year? And so I think it kind of united them and brought kind of a sense of togetherness, like I was referring to with their culture. But the schedule was not easy to put together. And he tried to get as many of the old Pac-12 foes as he could and all that. And some of them kind of, you know, tossed double birds to him and said, we're just not interested, or it won't work in our schedule. But he had to kind of go through the conference dates and say, okay, who's got a bye week this week? Will they play us? They're not going to come to us, so we're going to go to them. And he kind of just patched it together like that. And, you know, the dreaded RPI that we all have to monitor, which is one of the most ridiculous things we do in sports, it really helped their RPI because they did play so many road games. So when it did come time for the national seeds to be, you know, be unveiled and all that, they were really given the benefit of the doubt because how many high profile wins they had and how many wins they had on the road. So, you know, in a lot of ways, it kind of helped them. Now, that said, it did not help them in other ways. They had numerous travel hiccups, as you can imagine, playing that many games with that many guys traveling. And I think it also really negatively affected their offense. You know, when you're at home, you go to your hitting facility. They've got a beautiful brand new hitting facility. You go work in there for hours around the clock. You go to your pitching lab and all that stuff. You're just around. Well, when you're on the road, you get 8 to 25 swings in batting practice before the game. And so they had multiple, and I would say over half their lineup at different parts of the year went through insane slumps. There was a guy, Dallas Macias, who was a projected top 100 pick in the draft this year. He's batting 100 something. He lost his starting job midway through the season. He's been in a season-long funk. There's 3, 4, 5 guys who have done the same thing, and they kind of weathered all that. They just persevered and fought through it. And so part of, I think personally, why their offense has just exploded over the last couple of weeks is because they've just been home, sleeping in their beds, getting the work at their facility and that kind of stuff, and being around the comforts of that. So I don't know if I answered your question, but
you did, and it actually helps. I was about to ask you about it, and you went there on your own, which is always helpful in an interview. I was going through the numbers, and I was going through the players, and I was familiarizing myself with everybody that I wanted to ask you about, and then it's, you know, you look at numbers, you get used to looking at baseball numbers. You know what a season is. You know how many ABs everybody has. And I'm going through and I'm like, there's stretches here where some of their better players just didn't show up for a month or like 3 weeks. And that really is a great way of explaining how that is. And you're right. I mean, Goss Stadium is a huge advantage for Oregon State. Everybody kind of knows this, and I'll let you, Joe, talk about this because I when I watch games there, you can tell there's an electric atmosphere. What is it, close to 5,000 people?
Yeah, 4,300. Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. And they hit well there. Now, you tell me, it looks like a lively ballpark, as in I saw a lot of balls that I thought, I don't know that leaves too many places that leave there. Am I wrong on that? I know there's a ton of power from the right side with this team, and I am just kind of curious, how does it play at Goss?
It doesn't normally play like a bandbox.
Okay.
Oregon Stadium in Eugene, they moved the fences in when they hired their new coach. You look at their home run numbers, it's absurd. It's you hit a pop-up, sometimes it goes out.
Right.
That normally doesn't happen at Goss. The ball was jumping out of the park last weekend, and it definitely, as the weather warms up, and we're looking at temperatures in the high 80s, there might be a 90-degree day over the weekend. So it is going to be warm this weekend. So that could affect that. But if you look historically at Oregon State, they're not a big power hitting team. Typically, especially under Pat Casey, they were a defense and pitching team that had, a few really good offensive players, your Adley Rutschmans and your Michael Confortos and your Darwin Barneys and Mitch Canhams back in the day. And so that kind of carried them. But historically, like I said, pitching and defense. So normally it does not, just go nuts, like hitting one out the right field porch there at Doak. And so, but you're right. There was a couple blasts, and I saw it all weekend. That was like, wow, is that really getting out there?
Mm-hmm.
And I know the other thing that we all saw in that first game against USC was a little bit of a bunt-a-palooza from this team. That is a little bit uncharacteristic. They're not a team that has just bunted at will all season. Now they'll lay down a sack bunt, and they'll, we've all watched college baseball, and for the love of God, can coaches just stop making these dudes bunt in the worst situations ever? But Mitch doesn't do that a ton. He picks his time, and they're very good at it. They're very capable, as we saw. Don't get me wrong, but I haven't seen an inning like that out of them all year. They're much more of a station-to-station team. They don't run a ton on the bases. They just have so many professional, talented hitters that they just lean on that. And so that said, they do have a couple of big boppers and multiple big boppers, kind of like the Noles. They have 4 to 5 guys who could hit the ball out of the yard, and up and down the lineup, guys can hit it out. But Iva Arquette is a shortstop they have. He's a transfer from Washington. He is a possible number 1 overall pick. He's kind of like Jamie Arnold in that he'll probably be a top 5, top 7 pick, but a potential 1-1. Gavin Turley is a kid who came in out of high school with so much hype, and he backed it up over 3 years. He became the program leader in home runs and RBIs. He broke Travis Bazzana, like I said, the number 1 overall pick in last year's draft. He broke his home run record. And then Wilson Weber's a catcher who he's their leader and their captain. He crushes the ball and has been late in the year. And then a guy that you'll want to keep your eye on beyond those is a kid named Trent Caraway. He's
5
one of
home
the guys.
runs.
Yes, exactly. Now, this is a kid who had just a couple of the worst slumps you'll ever see in the year.
Yeah.
And he's kind of that kid who's like see ball, hit ball. There's not a lot going on back there as far as approach and analytics evaluation. He's a guy who's just he's from California, he just crushes the ball and always has his whole life. And so he really went through it this year. And we were all very surprised to see it, because I think if you look at the top 100 draft picks, he was probably top 60 or 70 heading into the year. He's a draft eligible sophomore. And then the thought going, in the last month of the year was, well, this kid might need to stay another year because of the season he had. But he hit home runs in all 5 games of the regional. He hit homers in 6 of his last 7 of the year. And so just absolutely crushing the ball. And it's emblematic of a team that I want to say in May, before the last 2 regular season games, was hitting 220 in the month. That's how bad it got, kind of. Now, they were winning throughout it all, but they just caught fire in their last 2 games of the regular season. And then I'm sure everyone who's listening and watching saw what they did last weekend. They hit 372 over their last 7 games of the season. 372. I just added this up. 372, averaged 13.5 hits a game, 11.5 runs a game. They hit 21 homers and 18 doubles in those 7 games. So just a murderous streak.
So I started with the last 10 games all the way into the postseason. And by the time I got done doing the numbers, some of which you just told us again, and I love it, I thought, well, this is an offensive juggernaut. But I'm glad we went back to the beginning and kind of got into the totality of a season, which featured a lot of, interesting stretches. And I'm going to assume, and we'll get to Dax Whitney, because you mentioned you think he's going to start in this game on Friday, tomorrow. That's well and good, but most of us are looking at 52-6 coming out of a loser's bracket, if you will. When you outscore opponents 52-6 and just bludgeon everyone, almost as revenge for having lost the opener to St. Mary's, it's like, no, this is not happening. Here, get you some of this. I wonder, by the way, if during that run, like you mentioned, I watched most Florida State fans, I think, watched with great interest at least the final game against Southern Cal, the 9-0 shutout, and they must have thought, well, this team, as you said, Buntapalooza. Was it something they saw with Southern Cal, maybe a weakness? Because, as you said, they executed that very well for a team who doesn't live by that. They executed it perfectly.
It's so funny that you bring that up, because so much went on in those games. It just, the offense that was the second game of a doubleheader that they had to win to stay alive.
Right.
And they scored 34 runs. And so it was so funny. It got lost in everything. And I never actually even asked about that, because I did wonder, they had to see something. And so I would assume that, they saw a weakness, and then they lay one down and the guy, wets himself and doesn't clutch up. Then the second guy does it, and the third guy. And so, hey, let's just roll with this, because they do have that capability. It is an incredibly fundamentally sound program. They rate 7th in the nation in fielding percentage. They have one of the highest or lowest ERAs in the country, so they can play that small ball. They just don't. They just kind of lay a timely sack bunt. So my guess, Jeff, is yes, they did see something. And you mentioned kind of sticking it to get a little what for with after melting down in that opener. It was also a little get you some to USC, which was kind of the program in the school that put the death blow onto the Pac-12. Yes. So, that was a little bit of something there as well. But, you mentioned Dax, and I imagine we'll switch to pitching here in a bit. But
go for it.
We've talked so much about their offense. And quite frankly, their pitching, I think, will be the separator in this series. Not necessarily win or lose. I mean, win or lose. Not necessarily that they will win. It's just that's where it's going to be decided. I mean, the Noles threw out 3 lefties. By the way, I should point out about now that I am a religious listener to the JCS show. So thank you for keeping me informed and all of us Noles fans from across the globe. And I know you've been talking a lot about the right-handed bats against the lefties. And normally, any baseball fan, even a casual fan, knows that would be a huge advantage. To kind of quell some of your concerns in that area, Oregon State has surprisingly struggled against lefties most of the season. And historically, and this year, the old soft tossing Jimmy lefty has kind of been their kryptonite. In the opener against St. Mary's, in fact, it was a lefty that I think he pitched 7 1/3 or 7 2/3 innings and kind of mowed through that lineup. And so, on paper, you think, well, Florida State's in a lot of trouble because of the right on left matchups. Not necessarily so in this case. They have fared a lot better lately. They did against USC, with exception to the St. Mary's game I brought up. They have fared a lot better lately, including against USC. And they do tend to hit left-handed heat better. It's that off-speed lefty that, we've all faced them or seen them in our lives. Your Jamie Moyers of the world. Crafty. Thank you. Exactly. Yeah. So, and, that certainly is not Jamie Arnold. I don't know if it's Mendez or so. I don't know how that's going to, pair, but I do think it's going to be pitched because both teams crush the ball and both teams have the capability to absolutely crush the ball. I've seen them from both sides all season. It's what arms are going to show up. who's going to, bring it on any given day? It's college baseball. I mean, how many times have we seen Mike Martin's teams just absolutely, flame out at the end and how that goes. So I will say that Oregon State's pitching staff, very good, also very young. Dax Whitney is a freshman. Yep. Their Friday night guy was a junior paired with a sophomore. They kind of did a piggyback thing, but the sophomore pitched Monday, and I think he threw about 50 or 60 pitches. So I have a hard time seeing them go to him tomorrow. That's why I think they go to Dax between his stuff and how he's throwing and just where they're at in the rotation. So I think they go with the freshman on Friday is my gut feeling. And then the next guy is a transfer from JC, an Oregon kid, a lefty, Ethan Kleinschmidt, who's, I want to say he's 8-3 this year, just been incredible. He kind of entered the season, the pitching coach called him their little secret, air quote, because no one had ever heard of him. He's from a tiny, tiny school in Oregon, pitched at junior college last year, and then just dominated in fall camp and has pretty much dominated most of the year. And so the one separator there is they are young. I mean, a freshman and a first-year sophomore. So that could be a little something to keep your eye on.
You wrote a great story on, is it James DeCreamer? Did I get that name
right?
Yeah,
you
wrote a great story on him. I wonder if whether or not we'll see him. Obviously, it was only his second career start. He's not a guy that they would have normally turned to. They were out of pitching. This guy has come back from a ton of injuries. I would encourage all of our listeners out there to go read that story in the Oregonian. Well done by you, Joe. And I was interested in learning more about this team. So I went back and read several of your stories. And that one's interesting because he has good stuff. I watched him pitch in that game, and I thought, well, where's this guy been? Because I looked for numbers, and they weren't there. But, man, is he good.
Yeah, and I think the bigger point there is just that's reflective of how deep their pitching is. Mm-hmm. Like every college baseball program in the country, like you guys were talking about 2 months ago, there are always questions about the bullpen. But what I've been telling Oregon State fans in interviews all year is what's different about this staff is you want the guys who are going through it up and down, but have the stuff. And this staff, top to bottom, has the stuff. They have, I want to say they entered the year with, it was either 10 or 11 guys who throw in the 90s. And that includes, up to mid 90s for some of the bullpen guys. So they have the stuff. There's not a lot of staffs in the country that have as depth that they do with how hard they can throw. Now, sometimes you don't know where that stuff is going with these young guys because many of them are young. And in some cases freshmen. So, but they have gotten better as the season has progresses. And back to Kramer, there's another guy, Wyatt Queen, who pitched the day before in an elimination game against USC. He threw 4 solid innings. So you see the talent and the depth that they have of that staff. A little less important in a best of 3, more important in a regional when you melt down in the opener, and more important in Omaha, of course. But I think this is going to come down to the guys that start the game. And as you can speak to with Florida State too, when you get into that bullpen, it's kind of flip a coin sometimes.
Everybody will be holding their breath for there. But, the last time one of our guys at Warchant talked to you, Joe, you sent us DJ.
Oh, man, I cannot apologize more for that.
Good God, man. How does a dude from Tallahassee send that death note?
If I could have done it differently, I would go back and change everything. What an awful season. And there's probably people right now weighing in on the chat that want us to start talking about football. We're not going to do that.
No, but, we will later, Joe, at some point, because I've enjoyed this. And this is fun to catch up. And it warms my heart to know that you've tuned into the show over the years.
Jeff, no, wait. I almost literally listen every day.
Good Lord.
Keep me connected to, I was born in Tallahassee, lifetime Florida State fan. I am going to be 100% impartial going into the series. I'm a 25-year pro, so it's the only time in my life probably I'm not rooting for the Noles. But I used to have season tickets to baseball games. I used to go on the field afterwards, going back to the Luis Alicea days. So
man, you are as versed as they come when this rivalry or this matchup. It's not a rivalry. Yeah. First time they've ever played, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. And, I was secretly rooting for this matchup, but in reverse, so I could go back home and visit the family for my work's dime. I was hoping for an 8-9 switcheroo there, but Yeah. So, it's going to be fun to watch. I genuinely, much like any college baseball postseason series, who the hell knows who's going to win this? I think it's about as hotly contested and evenly matched as any series there are. There's only 3 left that feature a pair of national seeds. All the others, with all the upsets and everything, are much different, as you probably know. But I don't know who's going to win. I think either team could win. Either team could sweep. We could be looking at a best of 3. It really is. I think it's going to be really fun to watch. I think we're going to see some fireworks. I think we're going to see some really high quality individual performances, and it's going to be fun. I do. The 2 things that are curious to me is I don't know how the hell they decided to schedule this on a Friday, because
Agreed.
You got one team traveling across the country. You got the other that just played 4 games in 3 days, including one on Monday. I don't know what the NCAA was doing there, but
do we ever?
No.
Do we ever? Yeah, 2,900 miles. Have at it, boys. We'll get you going on Friday. And, oh, by the way, Oregon State, we know you had to play through Monday. Hey, we'll see you back again on Friday. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's not unusual, the decisions made by the NCAA. And I know all the fine folks there in Corvallis are just as devastated as all of us here in Tallahassee about the SEC getting their head caved in this postseason. So tough
hate to see it.
You hate it. You just hate it.
It's tough for the little man to have to take one on the chin like that.
Hey, Joe, this has been awesome. And I'll pick your brain on the new Pac-12 with all the states, Boise State and Colorado State and San Diego State and Fresno State and Oregon State and Washington State. All the states, baby. We'll do it. We'll have fun again over the summer.
I love it, man. I look forward to it. And anytime you guys need me, I'm happy to talk. And
thanks,
again, thanks for bringing it strong for us out here, living vicariously through you guys on the podcast world.
It's my honor and privilege. Thanks, brother. Be well, man. You take care.
All right, take care.
Yep. Joe Freeman of the Oregonian. Been there a long time, doing great work, and he was here to preview, obviously, Florida State, Oregon State. We appreciate him very much. Let's come back and react to that momentarily. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with thunderstorms likely. High temperatures reach up to 88, winds out of the south, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tonight, chance of thunderstorms, lows around 72. Thunderstorms likely tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 91, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently, it's 87 degrees.
Did you know that the survivability of a metal roof far exceeds that of a traditional shingle roof? At Metal Roofing Sales of Tallahassee, we have new state-of-the-art roll formers that produce the highest quality Versa panel, PBR panel, and standing seam options. And we will guarantee to match or beat any local competitor's pricing. We're a family-owned business, ready to offer you the best sales and installation service in the area. And don't forget about our veterans and first responders discounts. Call Metal Roofing Sales today, 850-536-9123. Or visit us online at metalroofingSales.net.
Games for Less, Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used games, as well as new and used consoles like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Atari 2600, PS4, and PS5. You name it. Locally owned and operated since 1994, trade-ins are not only welcome, but Games for Less pays more for your trade-ins than the big chain stores. That's not all. Games for Less now buys and sells new and used vinyl records to boot. George loves the Beatles, by the way. Reserve all the new releases today at Games for Less, conveniently located in the Walmart Supercenter Plaza on Appalachia Parkway.
He's the kind of dad who's always there for late night walks and talks, early morning rides, and every moment in between. This Father's Day, we want to honor a truly great dad with the ultimate dad prize. Free tickets to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a free round of golf for 4, and a well-deserved steak dinner. Nominate a dad who's made a difference in your life. Share his story at realtalk93.com today. Brought to you by the law offices of Basic Brooks, your personal injury attorneys.
There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. You two at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
No Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude, I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean,
No, I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Florida, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Jeff Cameron Show rolling on, and we went along with that interview, so I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to Joe Freeman. We appreciate him making the time for us today. It was good to talk with him on and off the air. First we've ever met, and that was insightful. I felt like we learned something there about that team. So good times, and we'll go for that. Yeah, by the way, he gave up the ghost there at the end when he said us Florida State fans. Like, he does not want the folks in Oregon to know that he's from Tallahassee and that he pulls for Florida State. And then he just said something like us.
And then he tunes in every day. So thanks for watching, Joe. We appreciate you watching.
We do. I thought that was neat.
I like
I had no idea that before we reached out to him.
I like how at the end of it, you guys have the discussion, and it's mostly Oregon State. There's a little bit of FSU sprinkled in there, but there's no sport in the world like baseball when it comes to best laid plans. You know,
exactly.
It could be 6-0 somebody in the first inning tomorrow. Like, well, all right, well, there goes that idea of staggering the pitching and this and that.
Baseball's the weirdest thing, and truncated short series. I mean, Colorado just swept the series. I mean, it's sweet cheese. I know it was against Florida, but still, they'd only won 10 games all year going into. They hadn't won a series dating back to way back in last year.
It was 22 series in a row that they had lost. 22.
That blows me away. Final hour, bonus hour, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Make this summer a Swain summer. Choose Swain Pools and Spas for all your regular monthly or weekly scheduled pool maintenance, repairs, restoration, and renovation. Swain Pools and Spas is Tallahassee's pool everything store. Whether it's a deep clean, a resurfacing, or a full refresh, Swain's team will have you swimming, not skimming, in no time. Make a splash this summer and have a Swain summer. Find out all the ways Swain Pools and Spas can upgrade and maintain your backyard. Online at swainpools.com. That's swainpools.com.
And right next to Swain Pools and Spas is Tallahassee Car Care, the only repair shop where you can take a dip while we repair your whip. Tallahassee Car Care, right next to Swain Pools and Spas.
Hey, fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Ready to spice things up, Tallahassee? Slide into the all-new Tallulah Love Shop, your one-stop pleasure palace. From sensual toys and steamy couples kits to luscious aphrodisiacs and pheromone perfumes that whisper, yes. And oh, don't forget the THC slushies, flower, 7-0 kratom, and sweet edible treats that hit just right. Grab your partner or come solo and see the all-new Tallulah Love Shop at 1530 Mahan Drive. More love, more fun, always at Tallulah.
On the front lines, fighting the insanity of the woke, it's Matt and Brett Oster with America in View.
Matt, Florida has become the world. Bring the Knowles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
WVFT Greater Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3. More of the Jeff Cameron Show is coming up next. Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas.
Rory McIlroy, the plus 450 favorite with the RBC Canadian Open this week at TPC Toronto. Ludwig Ahlberg 14-1. Corey Connors and Shane Lowry both 20-1. NASCAR at Michigan Sunday for the Firekeepers Casino 400. Kyle Larson, the plus 550 favorite. Braves baseball today, $1.35 favorite at home with the Diamondbacks. Grant Holmes on the mound for Atlanta. Tampa Bay Rays, $1.55 favorite at Steinbrenner Field with Ryan Pepio against Jack Leiter, 9 under the total. Florida State and Oregon State, both minus 115 on the money line in game one of their best of 3 series Friday. $250 bonus and you open up a GBank Visa signature card. Visa.com/GBank. Mike Sonnet, Real Talk 93.3.
It's Macy's Friends and Family Sale, which means if you're shopping for summer, you can get insider deals on our best brands, even ones that aren't usually on sale, like an extra 30% off Hugo Boss, Calvin Klein, Levi's, and more. Plus, get 15% off beauty and fragrance. And with Father's Day just around the corner on June 15th, it's a great time to shop for Dad. Stop by Macy's today and walk out with the perfect gift. Don't miss Friends and Family. Going on now, only at Macy's. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Progressive Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance might be the easiest part of owning a home. Definitely easier than this.
Honey, flash. There's a salesman walking up the driveway. Oh no, he's got a clipboard. What do we do? Get down. On the floor, you. Shoot, did he see us? Why are you breathing so loud?
Home ownership isn't easy, but with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, shopping for home insurance is. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Injured? Call attorneys who care. Facing Brooks. Offices, Tallahassee.
Tired of spending money on bug spray and inhaling all those fumes every time you want to go outside? Treat your yard so you can stop spraying your kids.
Paul's Termite and Pest Control has a solution to this persistent problem. Paul's has a program which seeks the grounds, flower bed, and shrubs. Paul's controls pesky mosquitoes year-round, which means you can take back control of your yard. Not only are mosquitoes a physical irritation, they also pose a potential health risk to people and pets. With Paul's targeted techniques, you can rest assured that your yard will be protected and your afternoons will stay fun.
Take back your yard. Don't let mosquitoes interrupt the fun. For more information, go to callpauls.com. For the elimination of termites or any other pests.
And greener lawn, too.
Call Pauls. We'll get them all.
Pauls can help eliminate fire ants from your lawn, too. We'll help you take your yard back.
When my central heating and cooling system began to fail, a friend recommended I contact the City of Tallahassee Utilities about its loan program to help with the expense since I live on a fixed income. City staff worked with me and made the process simple. Because of the low-interest loan, I was able to afford replacing the system. If your home needs an energy-efficient upgrade, call 850-891-4968 or visit talgov.com/YOU to learn about available grants, loans, and rebates from the City of Tallahassee Utilities.
Leaky faucet, busted pipes, clogged toilet? M&L Plumbing is here for you. For all commercial, construction, and residential plumbing issues, call M&L Plumbing at 575-9393 or visit online at mnlplumbing.com.
This is Brian Kilmeade, and I'm excited to be on the air in the capital city. Be sure to tune into my show. I'll be giving you all the latest news, information, and the truth you demand. The Brian Kilmeade Show is live from 9 till noon, right here on Real Talk 93.3.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You go back, it'll be posted both via podcast and on the YouTube channel. So if you missed anything that me and Joe Freeman talked about regarding Oregon State, that's where you go get it and catch up. So I think you'll enjoy it. I thought it was a good interview. Yeah, man, that hit rate for Oregon State is something, huh? 3 national titles and 7 appearances. Whew.
So if Tony Greco is telling the truth, the Braves were up 9-3. They're now down 11-10.
That's something, man. It's weird. You know, I said when they got to 500, and I've been proven wrong on this big time. I had them, they got back over 500. They got a game or two ahead above 500. I said, well, they won't fall back under 500 at any point this season. They're getting healthy. They got 2 of their best players back. Obviously, Acuna, one of the 3 or 4 best players in the league. They'll be all the way back, and we'll see if they make a run or not. But alas, 6 games under 500 currently. We're up 9-3, down 11-10 currently. Holy moly, they could drop to 7 under 500. You got a problem on your hands now. You're behind the Nats, and obviously the Phillies and the Mets don't suck. It's going to be an issue.
Doesn't mean you can't go on a run, but you got to play. They're putting themselves in a position where they got to do what they did when they ran us down a couple of years ago with 101 wins. We tied, and we lost a tiebreaker because they played 7:20 baseball from the All-Star break to the end of the season.
Yeah, they did crazy things. It was not something that you typically see in the sport. No,
as they were running us down, I'm like, well, surely they're not going to continue to win. 7 out of every 10 games. Yes, they are, Tom. Yes, they are,
and they did,
and for another month. And for another month, and for a third month.
Well, I think when we were looking back at the time when the Braves, this was 2 weeks ago, I think it was, when the Braves got to 500 or just above 500. I mean, the run differential is still positive. When you just individually in a vacuum look at certain players, this is a good team. There's no reason for them to be this bad. But when you're 11 games back and 6 games under 500, you're 4 games better than the Miami Marlins, who just got swept by Colorado. You start saying, okay, well, we're not going to win the division. I mean, they're not going to catch the Mets. They're 11 back of the Mets, 10 back of the Phillies. They're not catching them. All right, and those are 2 really good teams that likely will not go on some prolonged losing streaks. So you ask yourself, what do we got to do? Well, you got to win the wild card. You got to win, and there's a second one now. So, you can really kind of not be that good and still make the playoffs in baseball now. Well, okay, let's go by divisions because everybody out west has got 30 wins or more, not named the Colorado Rockies. You got a problem on your hands there.
It's the sheer amount of teams.
Yeah, and obviously the Cubs are probably going to win the Central. They're 15 games over 500. They've got a prodigious offense. They're plus 100 run differential. They're really good.
Well,
the Cardinals are a bit surprising right now because of course, but I'd still pick the Brewers to finish ahead of them in the division. And the Brewers have 34 wins. You're not catching them.
The Brewers are getting their stuff together of late too.
Mm-hmm. They're 9-1 in their last 10.
It doesn't mean that Atlanta can't come back in the bottom of the 9th, but consider, I have a lot of experience with this, Atlanta fans. Us Mets fans, we know losing better than you do. And to see a night like last night where it's 1-0 in the 8th and you got bags loaded and you can't do anything with it. And it was for multiple outs. Was it bags loaded 1 out?
Yeah.
And then in the 9th inning, you got bases loaded and 2 outs. The closer walks in the first run because he walked 3 and hit a batter.
Right.
And you can't score to tie it. That's one type of loss that will not sit right with you. And it's its own beast. It's its own beast.
Yeah, it's its own beast for sure.
9-3 and having 2 outs in the 9th, a 3-2 pitch, runners on first and second, a ball hit to the corner and 2 runs score. Within, what is this, like 16 hours later?
I know.
Those are 2 very special and different kind of losses that typically you don't see consecutively. Maybe they come back, though.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, they're a good team. Like, on paper, they're a good team, but they are not playing like a good team. And, yeah, they wasted – well, I have a lot of practice in watching teams waste a great start like they wasted Chris Sale. And, of course, my Pirates waste every time Paul Skeens pitches. It's just something to behold. Something to behold. Hard to stomach, but it's what it is. Did you see our old friend who was once on this program, who I stupefied in my interview, was stuck, couldn't talk, didn't know what to say? Michael Kelly. when he was head of the ACC officials and all whatever else he was.
2011. That was a Monday in October in 2011.
Well, Michael Kelly went on to leave the ACC and become the athletic director at USF, where I'll say, job well done. How about this? We talk about programs and who's going to make it into the next generation of college football and all that. I thought USF was moving in the right direction, partly because Alex Golesh is a really good coach and is doing a tremendous job there. And if you think back to Michael Kelly's hire of Amir Abdul-Rahim, who tragically passed at the age of 43, was a rising superstar in the business before a tragedy during a routine surgery. There were a lot of good, positive signs for USF, and now Michael Kelly says, yeah, I'll leave. I'll take the Navy AD job. What?
Huh.
Now, I did some research. He's from Annapolis. There's some Navy ties in the family, and Annapolis is a gorgeous place. And if you have military ties, I understand sometimes that pulls at you in a way that other relationships don't. But, man, to leave USF to go to Navy, it's kind of crazy.
So, my nephew's going there. He's going to be a member of their marching band for the
USF,
football
not
program.
Navy. Right?
No,
Yeah.
not Navy.
Right.
No. And they open their own football stadium next year. So this is the last go around in
Raymond
James Stadium for them, and then they get to have their own on-campus facility.
I thought it was one of the biggest things holding them back. I've always thought that of every school. If you look at the instrument that football plays for all universities, like even second-tier universities, and I don't mean academically, I mean athletically, football is a catalyst for where you can go. And that's why you have the FAUs and FIUs of the world and everybody else UCF and USF went through this process a long time ago. The difference was UCF got the on-campus stadium, and it's quaint. It's what it is, but it's theirs, and it's a big deal. And you thought, well, they're moving on, but those are two schools in the state with massive enrollment, and you figure, well, they're the biggest threat to Florida State, Florida, and Miami. You just thought if anybody was going to rise up, this is a rapidly growing state. It's overcrowded beyond reason. It's unreal, but that's another bitch fest for another day.
Thankfully not here.
But I don't know. It's grown a lot since I've been here, but I know what you're saying comparatively.
Yeah, when I get back home to Pinellas, dear God, I used to be able to get off the Suncoast and I'd see nothing on the way to my parents' house, and now there's like 94 traffic lights.
All you got to do is traverse down I-75, and you're like, well, good God, man. I mean, yeah, that's where we're at. But that said, I always thought, well, if USF gets an on-campus facility, they've got the hospital, they've attracted the doctors. It's a first-class facility. Orlando's a massive city, continues to grow. They got the on-campus. I figured enrollment's massive. They'll someday become a player. It's just never really happened. It certainly happened more at UCF than USF. USF had the window. That little window, and they dropped the ball and have never been back.
I think their time is coming, and by that I mean in 20, 30 years.
This is why I thought Dion should have taken the job.
Oh, at USF?
Well, the rumor was that they were very interested, as one would be. Sorry I interrupted, but it's a caveat.
Makes sense.
And I thought if I were Dion, Colorado has never mattered. Well, sorry, check that. They have the dual national championship year. They had a very small window where the Rashawn Salams of the world, and I got it. They did matter. But it was a snapshot, a very brief snapshot, and they haven't mattered before or since. USF, you would argue, has never mattered, Jeff. Okay, right. That very small window, they were once ranked number 2 in the country at the time, and we got the famed Lou Holtz Bumblebee speech because of it, which is hilarious.
All are not principles. This guy can't fly.
Yeah, that's correct. That's right. So there's that. But I thought, man, Dion in Tampa?
Yeah.
In a fertile ground for recruiting.
Exactly.
He would have, and as known a commodity as he is in this state, he would have drawn gangbusters. He would have been, I thought.
The attendance for Travis Hunter. And
yes,
absolutely.
Thought he should have gone there.
It would have moved the needle in a big way. I'm thinking about a generation. Look, man, that medical school is going to be something that shoots them up the ranks as in terms of their postgraduate degree rankings nationally.
Yeah, the whole thing, the money.
Yeah, well, then the access to the city. Again, now people will just set their roots after they complete medical school, whereas for most everybody that goes to Gainesville and they gain their medical degree, they leave.
Right.
But they will stay, and they will stay in Tampa. It's a very, very smart move. The biggest concern that Tampa has as a city these days is hurricanes, like the rest of the state.
Well, the
because
rest of the state, yeah.
We didn't ever get direct hits in my time.
Steady ass kickings now.
And it seems annual. And those insurance rates around Bayshore and all those areas.
Yeah, forget about it.
Good Lord.
Yeah, no, you and I both know with family and everything else.
Let alone Pinellas County. Yeah.
It's ruthless. Anyhow, I thought it odd. I brought that up simply because this is the hour where we deviate and we go all over. And listen, I mean, Michael Kelly leaving USF to go to Navy had to be a tough one. And I think if you're USF, you would go to Alex Golish and assure him that things will be well, that he's valued, because that's a good coach. That's a good coach. I always like to keep an eye out for programs that I think, may have a chance to emerge and become something much more than they are right now. I would have guessed right now, by now, I should say, that this would have already happened. It would have been something where you're like, oh, they win 8-9 games a year. They get a recruit or two that, remember Jason Pierre-Paul went there and all that. I mean, they had some dudes for a while.
Couldn't get him in here. That was frustrating.
We literally couldn't get him in here.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
Would have made a difference.
Whew. It would have made a difference. He was a bear. Ruthless. Even with 3 fingers later on in life. He became very good. He was still very good with all 3 of those fingers.
Especially when you're going up against Kansas City's backup tackles in the Super Bowl.
Brutalized them with 3 fingers.
That game still makes me smile.
It'll hurt your feelings if you're a Kansas City tackle. I'm getting manhandled by a man with 3 fingers. This is a toughie.
It's a Ninja Turtle.
This is ridiculous.
Give me 3.
It hurts. Yeah, no, that one surprised me. I would guess in terms of what we get tomorrow night, that'll be mid-afternoon there, 3:00.
Update on that. Link Jarrett has spoken, and he says, I'm not sure. We're going to have to see this practice this afternoon before I make a decision on who's starting.
So this is, this game's been shipped. He knows. He knows who he's going to start. That tells me he's going with Bellini. That's my guess. If you were going with Arnold, he's your ace. You're not going to be coy with that.
Yeah, right. He can have him throw 20 pitches today. He looks great.
No, there's nothing more to see. He's going with Bellini is my guess. I could be wrong. I do think this, by the way, speaks to the difficulty of the decision. And I know this for a fact, okay? And I don't want to give up sources and get myself in trouble. But last hour, we talked about this. We talked about it in the first hour, too. We were debating Jamie Arnold on short rest versus Bellini, who's not the better pitcher. Right now, Bellini's in 3rd if we're ranking our pitchers because of how good Mendez has been his last 2.5 starts. But you would get Arnold on full rest on a Saturday, and you would get Mendez on a full rest on a Sunday, as opposed to short rest for Arnold. And I know for a fact that the spin rate, the miles per hour, all the metrics of Jamie Arnold's pitching numbers are drastically altered on short rest as opposed to a full week's rest, what he normally gets. Full rest versus 1 day short, empirical data, not opinion, empirical data about important metrics regarding what he is or what he is not on full rest or a day short. This season, multiple opportunities because the oddities that happen within the schedule to see that on display. Drastically more effective on full rest than he is 1 day short. And what people will say is, look, if he's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft, this is the way it works in MLB. That's apples to oranges. This is college baseball. It's a 2 out of 3 series. You give yourself the best chance. This isn't about a whole 162 game season. Also, by the time these guys get to the majors, they've put weight on them. They've gotten them a lot stronger. They've taught them how to train their body year round to get to a place where they can handle these kinds of things. It is not the same as a college baseball. He's still, I mean, I'm an old man, so to me, he's a kid. But he's a very young man, and he's wafer thin. He's not strong enough yet. That's one of the things he's going to have to improve upon, and the teams are going to ensure that he does. They're going to get him a lot bigger and stronger.
The other thing is you take a look at the splits for Oregon State, and Joe talked about this with you in the interview last hour. Not great against lefties, especially those whose velocity isn't high.
Which was great to hear because he helped me understand that what I just saw, which was them bashing the bejesus out of lefties in this past regional, was actually the outlier.
Right.
Okay.
Could speak more to the ass nature of those lefties that they were facing rather than the general trend, unless they're just getting hot and they're going unconscious and it doesn't matter where the arm slot is and where the ball's being released. That could be true. But, you know, if you're going to describe somebody as not having power stuff out of the three that we have, who's the more crafty? I think that was the term you used.
Vellini.
Vellini is the craftiest of the lefties.
Yeah.
So it does fit naturally in this spot as well. It's not just about Jamie Arnold's relative rest. If those numbers are true, and I'm going to trust the guy who watches that team all year long, then Joey Vellini in two different ways is the right choice to make for the starter tomorrow. And then you just have Abraham and Charles ready to go.
And what happens is this, and this is why you get paid a lot of money, and it's a tough decision. And, you know, sometimes it's not as black and white as we want it to be. And it is gray area, and you could guess wrong, but you have the data on Joey, and on Arnold, and you can look at it and say, well, I know for a fact this year he has not been nearly as effective. I know for a fact Joey's been the more rested arm heading into this series. I mean, I got to side that way, and I might get my head kicked in because of it. And I get that second guess will rain down, and that's fine because this is it. This is what it. You know, you make a decision, and then you hope you're right. But it's based in something.
Do you want to give Jamie Arnold the best chance to be the most dominant version of himself? Yeah. I mean, I see the angler in the chat says they're all must-win games, boys. I mean, it's not. Game one is not. By definition.
By definition is not, yes. Obviously,
I hear what you're saying.
Percentages go up and all that stuff, yeah.
Given the problems we've had this year, I'd like to win it in two if I can, because I don't like the depth of what we have pitching-wise. However, now Wes Mendez at least has given you something to think about in that regard that we didn't have.
Oh, buddy.
2 weeks ago, we didn't consider things that way, and now we do, where we say, well, a haul is not lost if it goes to a game three. But if you want to maximize Jamie Arnold, and the difference between this year's best Jamie Arnold and this year's worst Jamie Arnold, it's a gulf compared to last year's differential between his best and his worst. It is significantly different. So I would agree. At this point, all signs point to Joey Vellini, and they should.
I believe that is what they're aiming to do. I believe that's what's going to happen. I could be wrong, and it wouldn't be the first time, and I'd be fine with that because I do think it is probably being debated amongst the two of them right now. I don't think there's any doubt that that's what's being debated. They're having a hard time with it. If they weren't having a hard time with it, we wouldn't have gotten the answer that we got from Link today. If it was as straightforward as we all think it is, that if you're in the camp of Jamie Arnold, you're like, well, why is the coach hesitating? Because it's not that easy. And if you're in the camp of Vellini and you think it's that easy, same argument back at you. Well, wait a minute. It's not that easy. They're really wrestling with this. So I suppose it's a good problem to have. There are teams that are entering into a super regional right now that have one dude that they trust, and that is it. And then a whole bunch of...
But what gets fun, and just dare to dream with me for a moment, is if you do navigate this weekend successfully, and you are going to Omaha next week, now with the development of Mendez, now with the development of Joe Charles looking to be much more reliable, you can win not only this weekend, but that first game. You think about the luxury of the arms you have playing from ahead in the winner's bracket side of a College World Series.
Oh, yeah, you dare to dream there, yeah.
It's a fundamentally different discussion than we were having a couple of weeks ago, which was you better win the first two games if you get to Omaha, because if it's game three, you're going to have to win 13-11 and hope you do. Now that discussion changes just a little bit because of the new data we've gotten, which is you got some dudes peaking at the right time. That Mendez performance still sticks in my head. That's different, man. I get Mississippi State's a little tired because of the amount of games they're playing, but that's 8 innings of get you some when we were trailing the whole way. That is not easy to do.
By the way, you talk about the getting hot at the right time. Their head coach, who I just brought up, the Mitch Canham, he's like, look, I'm excited because this is the best we've played all year long. And he's like, I've been a part of teams that were really, really good and that I thought at midseason that we were going to be great and go win the World Series. And then things went south at the worst possible time and we stumbled our way in and lost. And we had more wins than this team does. And then I've been on teams that the eureka moment happened and a guy rose to his best and it was the last week of the season and you were like, let's ride. I don't know. I would describe both teams as having done that now. I mean, limping into the regional in a weird way. And then you come out of there with a sweep.
Yeah, I would say that pitching-wise, we are at a place that we haven't been all year in terms of confidence.
Yeah.
Bellini is the guy that's trending down. Everybody else that's key is trending up, and significantly so. Then the bats, there's some yes and no. That would be the difference between Oregon State and us. Now, again, you could look at the competition they're facing and ask questions, legitimate ones, about, well, what kind of arms are they seeing? With us, you've got some guys that, I mean, look, Miles Bailey and Cal Fisher, absolutely.
Locked in.
Chase Williams is now a consistent factor. Doesn't mean that he's always going to go 3 for 4, but that is a dangerous at-bat every game. But on the other side, Lodis looks lost, and this could be a good weekend for him to not be at Hauser and get his stuff together. Max has been uneven at best, a little bit. He was clutch last weekend when we needed him. And then Harrelson's been just okay. So, like, the pitching's been up, the hitting's been... You've had some trade-offs coming here.
Do you think? You talk about getting away from Tallahassee. I would love to hear the conversation between Link and Max and Link and Lodis and any of the other guys scuffling a little bit right now. Way too much swing and miss. You got to take the good with the bad. There's power there, but there's also a lot of swing and miss right now. I would love to. I'm just kind of curious. What ends up happening with that conversation? Because to me, it's two different things with Max and with Lodis. Max looks like a guy that's not, I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase this. He's not put together. The swing is disjointed. There's an issue there. It's not, it's separated. Whereas Lodis is chasing nonsense.
I think, yes. Okay. I would say, and see if you agree with this, that Alex is not seeing it, and now his confidence is low enough that he's guessing. It looks like he's just guessing.
I think he desperately wanted to just come through in a big situation, and yeah, he chased.
But it looks predetermined, and he's guessing at the pitches, whereas Max always swings first pitch, like always. And so when you go wrong with that, you can look silly pretty quick. I think Max... In a way, Max's breakout would be easier to predict than Lodis because Lodis just looks lost.
Yeah.
And like some of those breaking balls or off-speed pitches that he was swinging at last weekend, it's not even close, which tells me that he feels lost. It's like the lonely feeling of magically being lost over the ball in golf. Like, how did I forget how to hit this thing? Hopefully it was just a 1 week aberration for him, but he looks
getting away from here can do that. Watching film can do that.
I feel like Max is closer to coming back than Alex is in this moment. But hey, one or two at bats tomorrow changes it all.
Really quickly, they'll be facing a guy named Dax Whitney, who is a guy who saved their season, dominated TCU when they had to have it, struck out 12, was absolutely sensational. 104 pitch, 6 innings on 104 pitches of domination when they had to have it. And I watched a lot of that game. That was a 7-2 win. They had to have it. You really felt like that was the game because TCU was the one that was equipped. I know St. Mary's was the one that pulled the upset, but you knew St. Mary's wouldn't have the pitching. Southern Cal's not the program they were. So you were like, if they get past this TCU game, they got a good chance. And they ended up bludgeoning in the next 3 and dominated. But that kid has got 4 pitches that he throws for strikes. And unfortunately for the team TCU that I just referenced, he was throwing all 4. Most college kids cannot do that. I'm sitting red with him. I'm sitting red with all of them, and just let's make you throw those other pitches for strikes. Hold your breath. They might. It's baseball.
And I would say, we used to be a team and a program that worked the walks and we're on the bases a lot, and you're just looking for some situational hitting. It wasn't always bludgeoning the baseball. We had a couple years like that. This group, more often than not, swings early in the counts. And so it can lengthen your opponent in terms of they can, 6-pitch inning, 9-pitch inning. Wow, we just worked him to death. he only surrendered a run, 26 pitches in the inning. We might get him out of here. Well, the next inning, 7, because
That's what we did to Mississippi State.
First thing we see, right. And you can live and die by that. So it could set things up either way for us. We could either chase him quick or he could be into the 7th inning because we're recording a lot of early outs.
Yeah, 12 strikeouts for that start, and it was a bunch of first pitch fastballs. Please let him throw first pitch 96. That's what he was throwing in that game. Come on, man. If you're going to ambush and do that, I like us to hit the fastball. I understand we've had it shoved. If you locate any pitch, you got a problem, but let's go. Let's go. Let him throw first pitch fastball to Max. Lock in, young man. Let's go.
He'll swing.
He will.
Him and Ronnie Polino, the only 2 people I know that are swinging on the first pitch.
Former Met and Pirate.
And Marlin, too.
And Marlin, that's right. Jeff Garrett Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
I got some pretty spooky news from my Paul's termite and pest control technician the other day. It turns out that I'm sharing my home with Formosan termites. Those little monsters do damage about 4 times faster than the regular termites. Fortunately, Paul's discovered them on a routine general pest service, and they've already turned the Formosans back using an amazing treatment called Centricon.
Paul's was the first to introduce the Centricon termite colony elimination system to North Florida and is the leader in this non-invasive treatment. Instead of dumping gallons and gallons of harsh chemicals into our soil, Centricon uses environmentally sensitive treatments loaded in bait stations. These stations are placed around the home. Termites are present, they feed, and take it back to the colony, which is then destroyed. To learn more about Centricon and a free consultation, go to callpauls.com for the elimination of termite or any other pest.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Pauls. We'll get them all.
Hey man, if you heard the sound, the Talbot Jewelry's the best in town. The rings, diamonds, earrings, bracelets, and more. And Talbot Jewelry.
When was the last time you randomly did something nice for someone that means a lot to you? Now, I say this every day at the end of my show for everybody to be a better person today than you were yesterday. Well, one way to do that is to drop into Pentalpha and get a gift for someone who deserves it. It'll brighten their day, their week, maybe even their year. You don't have to wait for a holiday or special occasion, so don't wait to go check out a true local gem serving Tallahassee since 1988. Now, sing along with me, and I'll see you at Pentalpha.
Hey everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing NMLS 373031.
This week's Legacy Moment brought to you by Cornerstone Memorials shines a light on Miss Althea Jackson. For 2 decades, she ran the Southside Community Garden, teaching children how to plant, harvest, and grow with pride. Her collard greens were legendary, but it was her warm heart that truly nourished the neighborhood. When Miss Althea passed in 2021, neighbors planted rows of sunflowers in her honor. Her legacy still blooming right here in Tallahassee. This has been a Legacy Moment, honoring the lives that shaped Tallahassee. Sponsored by Cornerstone Memorials, helping families honor their loved ones with dignity and care. Find out more online at cornerstonememorials.org. Do you know of a Tallahassee legacy that should be shared? Text the word legacy to 850-386-8255 to submit your story for the Cornerstone Memorials Legacy Moment.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
All right, I'm throwing it out there, short segment. Come on, Taylor Pendrith, you do what you do, baby boy. -5, leading the Canadian Open. My 3 for the week, little late for you, Keith Mitchell, who I do not like to bet on because he screws me every time. And Ludwig, both finished 200 today. All right, we're good.
Hey, Ludwig.
Yep, Ludwig's back.
Back from the dead.
Yeah, I got him 2 under. I got Keith 2 under, and I have Taylor Pendrith, who is tied for the lead with a whole host of people at 500.
What did you say Ludwig's weak point is right now? Is it mid-irons?
Approach, yeah. He's really struggled with approach. By the way, Johnny packed 300 today and in the clubhouse.
Hey, all right.
No, not in the clubhouse.
Oh.
Still on the course. But 300 through 6.
Hey.
We De Soler is out there at -4 through 7. Come on, Knowles.
All right.
Cristobal
Del Solar.
I call him De Soler. I always have. He knows it's affectionate.
It is.
You were going to ask me something. Approach was killing Aberg.
He can show at least a little bit of improvement there this week. His driver's been immaculate, right?
Yeah, his driver's great. Yep.
Well, next week at Oakmont, driver's going to matter a lot.
Can't be in that rough. Holy moly. That is crazy. I watched an entire walkthrough yesterday and thought, are they going to leave it that way? Which is fine because I like to see these guys struggle. And apparently they are determined that +1's going to win it. Like they do not want anybody under par. So
yeah, there's going to be some WDs next week.
Oh, yeah, my elbow.
Oh, you're going to see it.
They're already 90 and walk, yeah.
You saw the Eamon Lynch, Rory McIlroy exchange already?
Mm-mm.
So Rory carded a double on the par 3. It's 298. He's like, I used a 3-wood and I carded a double. And Eamon said, there's no shame in that. We've had a winner who carded a double on that very hole.
Yeah.
And he said, well, did he card a 7 after hitting 3 good shots on the previous hole?
It's going to be hilarious. I mean, you do want to see these guys look absolutely human. I don't like to see them humiliated. It's a fine line. So you got to...
It's not humiliation if you finish ahead of your peers. I never understood. It's against the curve. This curve is impossible. Okay.
Yeah, but you don't want to make it a mockery. Like if this is a par 4 and the average score is a 6.4, what are we doing? I know that's at that point you readjust. What are we doing? Can we play the game? Yeah. Can we play the game?
This is where the guys in the old days had it right, but people lost attention. They would go cross-eyed thinking about, well, is he going to shoot 276 this week or is he going to shoot 284?
No, we're in agreement more than we're not. I don't care if 276 wins instead of 272, or I don't care if 300 wins instead of. What I care about is I don't need like the par 4, par 3, par 5 has to matter. That's how you differentiate. Some people excel at par 3s. Some people excel with drivers. Some people. So I don't want it all to be, okay, well, the average score is 2 over par on this hole. The average score is 4 over par on this hole because we've made it a mockery. Don't do that. Make it really difficult to make par with you.
For sure. Yeah. It goes back to old Jordan at the Chambers
Well,
Bay.
You're right. No,
this is the dumbest par 4 ever. How is this a par 4? So, well, if the scoring average is 5.2 and you card a bogey, you're gaining on the field. So just think of it that way.
Agreed.
Hit the ball.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's all your fault, Michael.
Yeah, I don't care if you're mad because the card says 4 and you got a 5 and the average is 5. That's fine. Just take it and move on.
He also won that major.
He did. It was a ridiculous major, but yes. I mean,
Dustin.
Yeah, well.
Oh, boy.
It's still frustrating.
I don't think Reggie Miller's behind that green.
Well, that was also crazy. Isn't that the one who gets screwed?
No.
That was the other one.
That was the PGA at Whistling.
Completely screwed.
No, this was a 3-putt from 15 feet.
That's correct. That's correct. I forgot about that too. Anyhow, all of you can channel positive energy to Taylor Pendrith this week.
One of the great moments too at Chambers Bay because Joe Buck got to regale everybody, and Jordan Spieth has won the U.S. Open because Fox had a 3-year run with it.
I forgot about that.
The only good thing they did, They didn't show commercials for crap. They said, screw the commercials. We are showing golf, and more golf.
Thank God, man. It's so tedious now. You can't get through 5 minutes without we're going to play through over here. I'm like, come on, man. And they'll actually miss shots. They'll miss important moments. Like, they'll tune back in as the ball's rolling towards the hole, and they're like, that was for bogey.
It's Rory got an 8-footer to tie the lead, and then it goes, well, Rory here, he'll have a big putt in a moment.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, Mako tires. I'm like,
no, I like this is an important
putt to tie for the lead.
Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio Warchant TV.
Now, here's your Paul's Termite and Pest Control Tallahassee weather report.
More heat, humidity, and a chance of showers and storms. Not everyone seeing the rain, but the chance is there. Lower rain chances to end the week, and then higher rain chances return next week. Tonight, a 60% chance of showers and storms early, then partly cloudy, low of 72. Friday, mostly sunny, 50% chance of showers and storms, high of 91. Saturday, a 50% chance of showers and storms, high of 93. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Kelly.
For the elimination of termites, pests, and for a greener lawn too, call Paul's. They'll get them all.
Did you know that the survivability of a metal roof far exceeds that of a traditional shingle roof? At Metal Roofing Sales of Tallahassee, we have new state-of-the-art roll formers that produce the highest quality Versa panel, PBR panel, and standing seam options. And we will guarantee to match or beat any local competitor's pricing. We're a family-owned business, ready to offer you the best sales and installation service in the area. And don't forget about our veterans and first responders discounts. Call Metal Roofing Sales today, 850-536-9123, or visit us online at metalroofing.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Not all heroes wear capes. Some wear grass-stained sneakers, carry a lunchbox to work, and show up day after day with quiet strength. This Father's Day, Real Talk 93.3 and the law offices of Basic Brooks are looking for the real dads, and one of them will win the ultimate dad prize. Free tickets to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a free round of golf for 4, and a well-earned steak dinner. Thanks to Basic Brooks. If you know a dad who's given everything for his family, a father, a husband, friend, nominate them. Tell us what makes him great. His story could win him the ultimate dad prize he truly deserves. Submit your entry now at realtalk93.com, and we'll announce the winner live on the air Friday, June 13th. Let us know who you think should be crowned as the 2025 Real Dad.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
One thing I was surprised by was that the thought that we could have a 90-degree day out there for the game tomorrow.
Uh-oh. Do I need to fire up the weather window?
You know where I'm going to, Lizzie. Let's go. Serving it up for you.
Not tomorrow because there's cloud cover. So we've got a high of 83 tomorrow, cloudy. Let me check and see if there's any pop-up
83 will work. I'd be pissed if I flew all the way out there and it was 90. I'm like, I get that here. I don't need all that.
Well, the beautiful thing is the mornings are lovely. Essentially, this is up there as like May for us. Early May, because the morning low is 52. Yeah, so you start your day feeling nice and crisp about things.
Crispy.
Saturday's high, 85 degrees.
All right, not 90. Not 90 at all. Joe.
Well, Sunday is 90 degrees. So if we go to a game 3, get ready for the trampoline effect. because it would be not. But even still, for there, this is unseasonably warm and unseasonably good for home runs versus what they usually see, which is cold, blustery, and so forth.
Yeah, overcast, rainy, damp, all of that.
10% chance of rain over the next 2 days.
Well, the summer months are the best months in the Pacific Northwest. They're absolutely stunning. I went to a 3-game series to see Seattle play the Marlins one year, and it was absolutely stunning. And the great irony is, once again, I was shown it's a very small world. I had seats behind home plate, not going to lie. And this woman sitting next to me was perturbed that I was there. She had the look on her face that suggested, I know you don't own these seats. I know the gentleman who does. He's normally sitting here and you're not him. So how did you get these seats? That's the look she had on her face. Giant rock on her finger. I mean, these were right behind home plate. And finally, I was much younger. It was in my late 20s, so I might have been buzzed at the first pitch because I had gone earlier to a bar near the stadium with my buddy. And I may or may not have had a massive dip in my mouth as I was watching baseball, which seemed uncouth to her. But she did turn finally in about the third inning and asked, oh, did you buy the tickets from Ralph or whoever the guy was who was there? I said, I don't know. I got them online with my buddy. And she's like, oh, okay. He doesn't come to every game. And I was like, And then she goes, where are you from? And I said, Florida. She goes, oh, I'm from St. Petersburg. And she ended up living like 2 miles from where I grew up in St. Pete.
And then she looked at you as a human being.
Yeah, all of a sudden. Yeah, it was hilarious. But yeah, I enjoyed all 3 games. It was lovely weather, perfect weather in Seattle at that time. And then, of course, if you traverse the Pacific Northwest, it's gorgeous.
Well, if you really wanted to raise the stakes there because it got passive aggressive, you could have said, and what does your husband do?
Yeah, I realized we were going to be there the next night and the next night.
Same seats?
Yeah, we bought the series, and I remember thinking, okay, do we want to declare war here?
Nope.
Is this going to be incredibly uncomfortable every night, or are we just So I didn't.
Mary, hello, Jeff.
Yeah. No, but the whole point of that was she's like,
King Felix. I know.
I said to her, this is unreal. To be in June and have weather like this is amazing, because it was 73 and sunny with a slight breeze and no humidity, not a cloud in the sky. And she's like, shh, don't tell anybody that it's perfect here for 3 months out of the year, because it is. And it's only 3 months out of the year, but it is perfect.
Also, to give you an idea, because I still have the weather window open, today's high is 78. Next week, it'll get back down to the 60s for a high.
Beautiful.
So that's why they're a little flustered up there. Oh, what is this?
It's like Miami when it drops below 78 and you watch the news. Well, get your coats out, kids. You're like, it's 77. What do we need our coats? What's wrong with you? It's going to be a chilly one out there, everyone.
Make sure you go see Santa today. You'll feel in the spirit.
Cue it up for some probables, kids. Let's do it. I got some finals for you, too.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
One final in the books. That's right, Braves fans. You blew a 9-3 lead to the D-backs and are now 7 games under 500. Final 11-10. D-backs come back and win. That game was started by Brandon Fat, Grant Holmes.
So Fat got lit up.
Neither factored in the decision. Kansas City doing the Lord's work by leading St. Louis 3-2. All teams should beat St. Louis. Go figure. Took a Cameron. Noah Cameron. Getting it done.
Yes, I do.
That's through 8. Miles Mikolas.
Yes.
Tigers White Sox. Casey Mize, Sean Burke, 2-0 White Sox. What?
They must have gotten rained out yesterday.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Makeup of a postponed game. You remember doing Mikolas yesterday. Hey, verbiage.
What?
Yeah. Phillies, Blue Jays, top of the third, 4-0 Blue Jays. Ooh. Chris Bassett doing the work. Jesus Lazardo got the start for the Phillies. He's normally good. Wasn't today. Twins A's are in the first. No score there. That's good because I bet on no runs in the first.
I got bad news for you.
Damn it, man.
Yeah. 1-0 A's, bottom one.
Son of a. Just lost that bet. Gambling's not for the faint of heart. David Festa starting for the Twins, and he can suck it. Mitch Spence going for the A's. Orioles,
Mitch Spence. What a name.
Mitch Spence. Nice to meet you, Mitch. Mitch Spence.
Do you have a short last name? Is that shorthand?
It's
actually Spencer, but
Spence.
I give myself.
What's up, Spence?
Yeah, my last name is short too. Spence.
Orioles, Mariners. The Mariners are facing a red-hot Orioles team that's won 5 straight. Look at this group. Zach Eflin going for the Orioles. The Mariners will throw Brian. Woo! Padres, Giants, Dylan Cease. Robbie Ray! By the way, very quietly, Robbie Ray is 7-1 with a 2.42. Nice bounce back for Robbie Ray.
Well, the last 3 or 4 full seasons, most of them have been quite good.
Yeah, Robbie Ray's pants are still too tight, though.
That's Robbie Scott.
I know. Robbie Scott, if you're listening, that was criminal what you did when you were in all. Those pants were out of control. Probably shortened your career. Mets, Dodgers.
I got a story after this.
David Peterson going for the Mets. Dodgers going to throw Landon Knack. Mets with a chance to be up in the season series against the Dodgers, 5-2 with a win. Ooh.
Already took the season series. Yeah, let's try and run it up.
Astros, Pirates. Buccos won yesterday. Let's try to make it 2 in a row. God forbid we win for Skeens, but we'll win for everybody else. Then again, it's not just screwing Mitch Keller. Say it.
Not just screwing.
Mitch. Framber Valdez goes for the Astros, and we don't hit. We've been shut out 10 times, so Framber Valdez will shove. Cubs, Nationals. That's Drew Pomeranz and Jake Irvin.
I've always thought Pomeranz sounds like a delightful cocktail.
Of a Pomeranz?
Yeah, we'll do a Pomeranz.
I always thought it sounded like a dog.
Easy on the. Oh, that's Pomeranian.
I know.
And I'm thinking pomegranate.
Yeah.
Or spritz.
We're all deviating from Pomeranz. Guardians, Yankees. Oh, hey now. All right, I don't remember reading this name, and I like it. Good on you. This guy's the lead singer of a rock band. Guardians, Yankees. Slade Ciccone going for the Guardians. All right, Slade. Father was a big fan. Max Fried goes for the Yankees. If you're the Braves, you could use Max Fried. 7-1 with a 1.92. Jeez. Would have been good to keep it. Rangers, Rays, Jack Glider, Ryan Pepio. I used to call him Peapot. It was more fun. Is it? Is Peapot more fun than Pepio?
With the Peapot.
It's Pepio. Tallahassee's own Cole Reagans goes for the Royals.
How's he doing this year?
Not as well as last.
Okay.
It's early. 2-3 with a 4.53. That game is the second game of a doubleheader. Let's hope Kansas City sweeps that doubleheader because it's against the St. Louis Cardinals, and screw the St. Louis Cardinals. Matthew Liberatore going for the Cardinals. I hope he gets his ass lit up. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Man, that's fun. So do we think the Notre Dame game next year will be an early season game, week 1 or 2?
Oh, we're talking about football. Usually those are set.
Yeah.
It isn't. Oh, I need to type in FSU in Google. I just put football 2026 schedule. Google's like, yeah, what about it?
Chris Hours, thank you. True story. Corvallis has some paper mills south of town. This leads to a lot of odd smells when playing Oregon State. I'll phrase it that way. By the way, that's like Jacksonville with the paper mills. When you drive around Jayville, you're like, oof.
So the Notre Dame date is not set. However, it would be especially cruel if it was early because we go to Tuscaloosa in week 3 to play Alabama.
Yeah, I don't want to play Notre Dame, Alabama back-to-back.
So
Doesn't seem ideal.
I don't know. You got to wedge Miami and Notre Dame and Clemson.
So Notre Dame, Clemson, Alabama, Miami, Florida, all on the schedule in 2026.
You throw the ponies in there. We're hosting SMU.
Bust that ass on SMU.
We travel to Louisville. That's
a schedule.
That's a schedule.
That's a schedule. Who are the other slappies in the ACC?
BC.
Okay, slappy.
NC State.
Slappy housed our ass last year.
NC State, Virginia.
Okay.
And Pitt.
All doable.
Well, Pitt, too.
Yes, but you never know with Pitt. Pitt's very strange. They're here, they're there, they're everywhere. You never know. They're good, they're terrible. They do that all in one season. They did it last year.
We're playing up there, so it's going to be the race to 20.
Oh, we're playing up at Pitt?
Yep.
Hopefully it's early in the year. We'll go up and catch the Pirates.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to be addicted to going to PNC after I go later this month.
So Tom and myself, just so you know, later in the month, going to take a couple days and roll on out to Pittsburgh to see Pirates Mets together. Good times. Good times. Already locked it in.
Taking in a weekend series.
It'll be fun. And as we sign off for the day, the Steelers finally signed Aaron Rodgers. Allegedly, there's something coming out about the hows and whys of Aaron Rodgers not having signed until now that is supposed to be sympathetic towards Rodgers.
So he will appear on Pat McAfee to talk about it next.
I'm sure, but I'm curious what could be produced that would make you sympathetic or empathize with Aaron Rodgers. Not much. I'll be very curious to see.
There's a dirty secret that Ryan Braun has been holding against him for a long time, and he's been torturing Rodgers behind the scenes. That's it. That's all. Only one thing.
Hilarious. I'm kind of curious. Good work out of you. Thanks, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow on a Libations Friday. Until then, enjoy your night. Peace.